McDaniel can't move on it. Now he does. The shot, passing down. Rebound, score!
Hey, welcome to the Toe in the Crease podcast, where we talk about anything and everything to do with the NHL. I'm SJ. That's Willie Dubs over there. And we do have to break to say, we got some news. The Jays are in the fucking World Series. The Jays are...
Yo, I'm so stoked. Like, it's, again, I wasn't actually born when they were in the World Series.
To be fair, I was times. Like 2 or 3, so...
Okay, man, you were still alive at least. I wasn't even alive, bro. I was still what, like 6 years away at that point. That might be giving away how old I am, but yeah, I was still 6 years away at that time. So you were at least around for that. So,
but like, you don't have I don't have memories of it. Like my parents do, right?
But I doubt your parents watched the game though.
No, but like my parents, like recently at that time, I think they like recently immigrated to the country. So it was like baseball was like this new thing, but like the fever and like, you know, everything, it just, no matter what, you know, it's something that catches you like, here's the one thing about sports, right? Regardless of where you come from, if you understand what's going on the field, you know, in the arena, whatever venue it is, it unites everybody. It's like music. Like music and sports are like the two things that, like, no matter where you come from, like no matter what, you know, like from anything, no matter what walk of life you're from, you know, wealthy, not wealthy, like, you know, no matter what country you've come from, you guys get, like, you'll go around in a stadium, and I'm sorry I'm waxing poetic here, but you'll see people from like all different walks of life, and it's like, no matter what, you just can get caught up into it. And that's what's beautiful about it, right? It's one of the few things where, like, you'll see people from all these different, again, walks of life just come together and watch something. And, like, again, for people don't understand what it's like, Toronto sports in general, because it's, okay, I'm not a Leafs fan, but for the people that are like Leafs,
Thanks.
Raptors, Jays, people don't understand how depressing,
extent, but yeah, TFC to an
people
extent
don't
as well.
understand how depressing it's been for the average Toronto sports fan. Like, outside of the Raptors, okay, again, Jays won in 92, 93, Raptors won in 2017. You don't understand how miserable most of Toronto sports...
Raptors was 2019. I think TFC was
2019. Yeah.
I think TFC was 2017. But
no one cares.
Yeah, but that's...
But, like, people don't understand how bad it's been. Like, for... Again, the Leafs just haven't won since 1967. But, like, the Jays, it's been... People, like, that climb from, I'd say, 96, 97, where... No matter what, you just always finish behind the Yankees and Red Sox. Like, no matter how good the Jays were, could never win the division. Could never, a lot of times didn't come in second. And there were years where they were better than the Central team, better than the AL West team. It didn't matter, right? And there were years where people would promise all these, all these different platitudes, like JP Ricciardi, you know, the 5-year rebuild that turned into 8 years and never happened. All the post-hype stars that were on the Jays, like, people forget, Roger Clemens was on the Jays for 2 years, won 2 Cy Youngs, didn't want to be here. David Wells was on the Jays, left, right? They have Roy Halladay in his prime. Again, left because he wanted to win.
Essentially wasted his prime, it felt like, yeah.
Chris Carpenter left, became an ace and a Cy Young winner in St. Louis, right? After, like, I don't know what happened with the Jays management of him. All the over-the-hill guys they signed, Frank Thomas, Corey Koski, Matt Stairs, like, past his prime Troy Gloss, which was still okay, but not the same. Like, the washed out free agents, like BJ Ryan, who had like one good year, then tore his arm up. Like, there were years, and that's not even including the failed prospects. Like, there were guys that just were busts at the beginning, like Russ Adams. There were guys that gave you hope, like JP Arancibia, Eric Kinski, and Ricky Romero, Aaron Sanchez, who just flamed out. And all these years of, like, it's there, maybe we're close. And then there's that 1 year where everything comes together, right? And you think
2015,
the Jays are the best.
2015.
Yes, the Jays are the best. Not only are they I think the best team in the AL that year, I thought they were the best team in the league. I thought if they had made it, they would have won. And the crushing Toronto thing happens where there's a guy on third base with nobody out.
With no outs in the top of the ninth after he steals 2 bases and you couldn't even get him home.
And they lose.
Shout out Dalton Pompey. Shout out to Dalton Pompey for that.
To me, that was like the year, you know what I mean? And
you knew it wasn't the same the next year when they came back again to the ALCS again the next year.
Go to next year.
It felt different.
It felt different, but even next year, right? Cleveland is running out of pitchers. They have to bring a guy up from AAA in the ALCS, and he pitches, I think it was like 4 innings of shutout ball.
Yeah.
And it's
I
like,
think we only won a game. We only won one game in that series. I think that was the only game I think it was the game that Aaron Sanchez started. That was the only one we won.
and
here's the funny part. That was the next year after when Sanchez flamed out, because that was when his I think the blister issue started happening, and that was kind of the end, not the end for him, but it really was the end for him essentially.
And
he's never
what
been
people don't understand is, like, you never assume you can get back, right? Like, because for me, that 20 was it the year they had Josh Donaldson when MVP? That was 2017. Sorry, I'm like the years always
2015.
2015. Like, I thought that was the year, and that felt like a window year. So for people, when I talk about windows, what I mean is, like, it's not just a year where you have all the stars and everything. It's like everything that can go right.
It's the year when stuff clicks together and it's like all goes right. So for people who didn't really watch the Jays this year, this again, we are a top 5 payroll team in baseball. So I don't like the narrative that people push that, like, oh, this feels like a team of underdogs. It's not really an underdog when you're a top 5 pay team in baseball. But I think if you're referring to the underdog part, it's the extent of some of these guys, like guys you'd never heard of, guys that probably shouldn't be on I'm not saying shouldn't be on an MLB roster, but like some of these guys, for example, like Nathan Lucas, like spent 10 years toiling in the minors. And I think even John Schneider mentioned it, where he was ready to just pack it up and just retire, right? Because, like, you know, being in the minors so long, at a certain point, you think your chance is gone. So him, I think Barger coming up, there's just a lot of guys, like, things kind of click together at the most, like, random times. And, like, basically everything kind of clicked for this year. Right? You have to take advantage of it.
It happens in every sport. Like, look at the Raptors, right? The Raptors were that child that 1 year. Kawhi literally leaves a team who's known for being one of the premier franchises in basketball. The Spurs don't want to trade him to a team in the conference, and they don't want to accept a rebuilding package. So the only viable package was the Raptors by miracle. Everyone forgets. Again, everyone remembers the shot versus Philly, but what people also forget outside of that and the Golden State Warrior injuries is they were in the Eastern Conference Final down 2-0 in OT versus the Bucks. And for anyone that knows, OT is basically a coin flip. There was a real chance they could have gone down 3-0 and nothing. But again, all those things broke their way. And there's times where it doesn't break your way and you never go back. Like, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, as miserable as I can be at times. That year where everything came together and they went 15-1 in the regular season, it wasn't just Cam Newton going and winning MVP and Luke Kuechly winning Defensive Player of the Year. Like, Charles Tillman came on the team and was a beast. Josh Norman had, like, his only all-pro year in the league that year. Guys were healthy that weren't normally healthy, right? Everything has to come together for things to work. And a lot of times, even if you have the talent the next year, the year after, it's not the same, which is why, like, I feel like this team is destined, because all these things are coming.
I love the Jays, but I just don't know if they can beat the Dodgers. Like, I think we talked about this.
I get
Dodgers
that, but, like,
feel like
to me, okay, I get the Jays had no expectation. Like, I thought they'd finish 4th in the AL East to start the season.
I didn't even. Right? I thought maybe like 4th would be like the highest they would possibly finish. Even after April, they were 14-14. Was it like 16-20 or something? And I was like, yo, this team is ass.
But the way I look at this team, it's like I would be heartbroken if they lost, because this is a window year. All these guys on this team. So Vlad's playing out of his mind, which is to be expected for sure, right? But look at the other guys, right? Ernie Clement turned into Joe DiMaggio in the playoffs for some reason. Andres Jimenez is hitting way better than anybody. Like, is he hitting great? No, but he's hitting way better than anybody expected, right? Like,
he's hit at the most. He's picked the most, like, he's come in clutch at the most opportune times, right? Like, again, that 7th inning yesterday, where I think it was the 7th inning, where we were down 3-1. He, like, you know, he dropped the sack. He dropped the sack bunt, I think, so that doesn't really count. But it's the 7, 8, 9 hitters for us that have kind of come in clutch and given our top of the lineup chances to get runs.
Let me give you another example. Dalton Varsho, right? Dalton Varsho slugging the 2 years before in Toronto. So 389, 407. This year he's slugging 548. The batting average and OBPs are basically identical, right? Like, again, Nathan Lucas was almost out of the league. Found it. Trey Savage has the most unprecedented. He started at single A this year, and he's basically playing in the bigs in the playoffs, right? All these things are like things that don't happen. Forget, sometimes one of those things don't happen a year. Everything is happening.
Everything just kind of, and then Addison Barger coming out of nowhere too.
Yeah,
right?
Like
good enough hitter for us. Like there's so many pieces, and also doing this all without Bo too. Like all of this came together in spite of some stuff that happened. Like for example, we didn't have Bo Bichette. We're not even sure if we'll have him for the World Series. We didn't have Bassett, I think, for the whole Yankees series. Like we were forced to go Savage because of, I guess, the Bassett injury. And like, I don't know, like 5 1/3 innings of no hit ball against the New York Yankees.
And then think about like some of the stuff in the series, like that game versus Seattle. And also George Springer, where
had one of the most craziest bounce back years I've ever seen in my life. Went from
like,
worst qualified hitter in baseball to one of the best, I think, qualified like hitters in baseball.
And why I would be heartbroken is if they lose, it's like people say, "Oh, hey, there's a good chance the Jays will be back." I'm telling you, there's a chance they might not, because like a lot of these things had to come together, and it's possible that those things don't come together the same way. They just don't. Like, look at the Indians made the World Series X amount of years ago, and we thought they were going to be on the come up with all the pitching they had. They haven't been back since, right? Everyone thought the Yankees would be back. They haven't been back since. The Orioles, everyone thought was the next team up. They haven't made that step yet, right? And now suddenly looking.
Their pitching was
we're poking holes in guys like Adley and like is Jackson Holiday even a thing, right? And it's like that's why I'd be heartbroken if they lost. And like I'm so excited about this because it's like everything feels like it's coming together. And
sorry guys. So we know it's a hockey pod, but like this has us really amped because I don't think we've ever felt this excited for a Toronto team.
People don't understand that Game 7 in Seattle, that goes. If you're a Toronto sports fan, that goes against you. Yeah, against 99% of the time. That game does not end that way.
I thought it was.
I know you did. I think I was the only one in our group chat that did not. I was like, you know what? No, this team's destined.
And then the fucking Springer.
You just have to believe. Again, that's what broke my heart when Carolina lost in the Super Bowl Denver, because I just thought that was like the year, right? And and as good as the Dodgers are, this would still break my heart. I'm not gonna lie. Like, but I will say, like, that feeling you get of that is just what being a sports fan is all about.
I'm curious, what was your reaction on the Springer when you saw the Springer, like when he was up for a bat and he hit that? Did you think that was out? I'm kind of curious because I thought.
I saw Randy running, and because if you watch Randy running,
he was just kind of slowly backing up, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, it's gone. There was no question in my mind, because if he's sprinting, then I'm like, okay, maybe it just hits the wall. But the fact he started looking back and just slowly walking kind of towards it, or slow running, I was like, okay, yeah.
I thought maybe he thought it was like I thought maybe he was staying in the park because like he was just slowly walking back to like just grab it and then just catch it and just a sack fly. But then I saw the crowds. I saw that you can see the crowd when like the ball's about to drop, and start to see the crowd going crazy. And I was like, oh shit! And I think I woke everyone up in my house because everyone was like, what the? Because I just yelled, right? It was like, again, as a Toronto sports fan, you don't normally get to experience that kind of joy. And even after that, I was like, we're gonna blow this, aren't we? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just the dread of like now we have a lead. It feels like.
To be fair, I've always said this entire series, I think the Seattle offense is very fraudulent because it's so variant from because of how free swinging they are. But yes, no, I still thought
But you saw that, right? Because Julio, yeah. I think Julio, his last at bat, he swung at every single pitch, and every single one of the strikes were out of the zone. Every single one of the ones he swung at.
And I was just like, because my heart would have been in my throat if Julio got on base, because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be one of those Cal Raleigh. Yeah, but I feel like they would have
intentionally walk him there. Do you intentionally walk him in that scenario? Okay, yeah, okay. I thought so too. I was about to say, because any amount of runs hurt you at that point. But overall, yeah, no, absolutely insane. And I'm sorry, I know it's a hockey podcast, but I had to get this off my chest because, again, you understand, this is Toronto sports. This doesn't happen. This doesn't. Yeah, I'm so stoked. I know it's on Friday, but
we don't watch. It's not like the Dodgers where it's like we feel like we're expected to be there. It's not, it's not like, again. It's not a team on the come up like a Florida Panthers where you see that it's not that, right? So yes, we are stoked. We're still watching hockey though. And to tie it all back into hockey in a weird way, when we talk about windows, I think one thing that's interesting that I do want to, is like when we talk about at the beginning of the year, people, and we'll talk about this with the signings to an extent, it's like windows happen in hockey too. Just because, Florida and Edmonton made the playoffs the last 2 years doesn't mean it's a guarantee they'll be back. And we're kind of seeing it now, right? Like, again, Barkov getting hurt in the preseason randomly, right?
Kachuk missing like a couple months. Kachuk missing a couple months with his surgery and stuff. Like, you have you have like windows for your team, and like it depends on a few factors like injuries. And I think the next one the one we're going to talk about today is like, like who do you have under contract, right? Which
Yeah.
do you have, how long do you have your core guys for, or like, and who do you have locked up, and like, can you
And
take
also
advantage of guys
sometimes-
on cheap deals?
And sometimes the guys just play out of their minds randomly in a series, and you just don't like. Again, the Jays
Playoff
have had
Sam Bennett, playoff
Yeah.
Sam Bennett.
no, honestly, right? Like
Yeah, playoff
The-
Sam Bennett
the-
is crazy, man.
the Jays, like, but every year there's that guy, right? Like, again, we talk about the Jays with Ernie Clement, Nathan Lucas, Addison Barger, Trey Savage, but it's like, think about every playoff run has had that guy to an extent. Like, Boston, that year they won the Cup, Tim Thomas out of his mind the way he played,
Yeah.
right?
Outplayed Roberto Luongo, who in his own right is damn good goalie.
Yeah. Jordan Binnington, again, like that one year, he's never recreated that year again. But they won the cup that year, right? Aiden Hill, like so far, doesn't seem to be that guy he was in that one playoff run with Vegas, but he played out of his mind. Like all these guys, and you need these guys in playoffs outside of your usual stars. Last year, Edmonton had Corey Perry play out of his mind. Will it happen with another guy? Maybe. But we don't know, right? And again, Zach Hyman 2 years ago, regular season, 50 goals. Like, will that happen again? Probably not, right? And it's one of those things where, again, when I talk about windows and why I never assume guys are going to be back, one, maybe it's because I'm a fan of other sports, but two, it's all these variables that people don't think about outside of like your regular stars that just have to come together for you to win. And again, they might never be recreated, but that's just the reality of it. We talked about Colorado. Remember, Colorado won the cup. They're going to run the league for the next 5 years. We talked about they had Makar, Landeskog, again McKinnon, right? They had
But you saw how quickly that fell apart. But you saw how quickly things could change, right? Between Landeskog not being healthy, like he's just didn't play for basically 2.5 years essentially. I mean, you saw their depth kind of slowly drain just because they had to pay. They had to trade
Rantanen.
They had to trade Rantanen. Like
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I thought Rantanen would stick. I think you and I both thought he would probably stay.
Oh
in
yeah,
Colorado,
for sure.
But
and like Samuel Girard wasn't the same as he was a couple of years ago, and it's like all these things kind of wear at you. And now, like you look at Colorado, man, they haven't been out of the first round since that cup win, which is crazy. If you told me that,
you mean okay. So I know what you mean when you say that, but I would have phrased it as made it past the first round. But yeah,
made it out of the first round, right?
I know, but I would have said made it past out sounds kind of weird, but yeah. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, but like they haven't. And if you told me that when they won the cup, I'd have been like, "You're stupid."
You would have been like, "You stupid." Like,
they have McKinnon, Makar, Rantanen. What? No. And Taves? No. But
you have all that talent. You have all that talent. There's no shot you can't get out of the first round against some.
That's just the reality.
Scrub ass to you.
Yeah, and that's just reality. And that's why I am like over the moon about the series, even though I know some people are dreading the Dodgers Death Star, or as I call it, the Tech Bro Yankees. I am over the moon about this series, and I am so excited.
How crazy would it be if we somehow pulled it out? Would it just be like complete bedlam?
Insane. Especially when you consider all the weird Shohei Ohtani thing before he signed with LA about the Toronto. It'd be crazy.
Well, it doesn't feel the same because he technically won the World Series, right? So he can't even say like he regrets. But like, it would have been funny if he did it last year. Like if it was last year we had this crazy success and won, because it would have been like, you picked the wrong. It would have been like you picked the wrong team. Ha ha ha. Like, you know what I mean? It would have been more funny.
I know, but it still would feel nice, right? Also, all-time contract year for Ross Atkins. All-time contract year. Like going from like,
I remember everyone wanted him out at one. Like you and I wanted him out at one point. 100%. And now it's like do you still want him? How
do you not give him an extension?
I know that's the problem now. I can't be like, get rid of this guy, right? They just made the World Series. Let's fire this guy. No, like I can't.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So despite all the Jays postseason baseball going on, and the other postseason baseball, even though the Dodgers series was pretty short lived, we have been watching some hockey. And there are some things we're going to talk about today. So it is early in the season, so I'm not trying to overreact. Like, we're not trying to overreact to too much, really. But we did want to talk about the contract signings that happened and just a couple early observations that I think are going to be endemic of what's going to go on throughout the year. The rest, again, I'm kind of like, I give teams at least like 20 games to kind of feel it out before I really start making observations. But there are a couple things I did want to point out in particular.
All right. You want to? I think we should start with the contracts. I think that's probably the first one to start off with.
For sure.
Which contract do you want to start off with? There's a few.
I mean,
so I'm
which one? Like, come on.
I mean, hey, there's a couple. I always like to save the best for last. So I usually would have saved that one for last. But if you want to talk about,
let's just get it out of the way, right?
Okay.
The Connor McDavid signing, right? Let's talk about it. He signed for 2 years at $12.5 million average annual value. Okay, can I just be honest here? This is the biggest discount in a salary cap league I can remember. There hasn't been another one, right? In a salary cap league.
I don't think so. Yeah. Well, I can't think of a like. It's not even a disc. It's not that it's not a discount, but his like contract is staying the exact same essentially, right? Because he was being paid 12.5 before too. Yeah. So essentially, he essentially said he just basically said I don't want to raise. Essentially, that's the way I'm.
That's a discount. Hey, look, when you go to your boss and they don't give you a raise and inflation goes up, similarly the cap goes up, that like you're losing money, right? Look, it's the biggest discount salary cap league I can remember because he is one of the few blank check guys in the league. I think there's like 5 of those guys in the league. I'd say it's him, McKinnon, Makar, Kucherov, and Draisaitl. I would say are the 5 like blank check, you write your own number guys, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, for me, this ratchets the pressure on Edmonton because if I'm the Oilers, man, look, here's the thing. As a fan of another team, you have no more excuses. None. I never want to hear an Oilers fan complain about anything ever again. Because, like, this is way better than any other team gets from their start.
Yeah, well, again, I'll speak from the Leafs perspective. We've always been bent over backwards by our stars. So the Marner extension, even like Matthews, like I think Matthews was the highest paid at one point. Like essentially, like the Leafs have never had somebody take a home. Like I guess Tavares technically counted as a hometown discount, although that was still a pretty high. It was a discount relative to what he would have been paid in like I think San Jose or some of the other teams. But the whole point is like McDavid basically just said, "Look, I'm not even going to ask you guys for extra money. I'll just take whatever I had before. Like you give me a champion. Like kind of basically his thing is give me a championship in the next 2 years, or else I'm leaving." That's kind of the whole thing of this contract. And I think somebody pointed out, I was doing some like analysis for this one. I was looking, according to I think Jay Fresh, who's a dude on Twitter who posts a lot of hockey analytics stuff. That's kind of how I refer
Jay
to
Fresh
him.
hockey cards. Look it up.
So yeah, Jay Fresh hockey cards. So he produces a lot of little cool cards. I think we've shown one or two of them at some point. But essentially, the $12.5 million in 2 years is going to be essentially worth like what $9.5 million was worth in 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. So like if that's what like, and I think that 9.5 in 2018, 2019 was that how much Kucherov was making around that time? I think did he already have his contract then?
I think so.
So like you're basically when Kucherov got the 9.5, that was considered I think that was considered a discount too, right?
100%, yeah, because they were talking about the whole. That's when that's part of the reason when the whole tax conversation about Florida and no state income tax came up was around that time actually.
Yeah. So basically, McDavid's just like throwing a bone to the Oilers, and you can kind of see how that's kind of played out because the Oilers then went ahead and extended Wallman and Ekholm, right? Because they kind of used some of that money like some of that room for the next few years to be able to extend some of their other guys, right? But I think the biggest takeaway from this contract is maybe he's not saying this directly, but he's like, you better find me a good starting goalie. Like that's the takeaway I have because their goaltending is it makes me want to tear my hair out.
Well, yeah, it's basically a 2-year because they can't do anything with the cap space during this year, but it's the next 2 years after that, right? And I will say, here's my hot take. I'm not a fan of discounts, player discounts. That's my hot take. I know people will say, hey, like, he really wants to win and stuff like that. I'm not a fan. So I don't know what your take on it, but let me give you my opinions on this one here. So one, general reasons, non-hockey specific here. So it puts shade and kind of pressure on other players, right? Like, because it's funny, his happened after Kaprizov, and, and I don't know if people saw, there was this clip where people asked Austin Matthews about what his take on McDavid taking the discount was, and what the reaction they were looking for, or the answer they were looking for was, right?
Yeah, they were trying to bait a message. They were trying to bait something out of Matthews, right? Because like Matthews, like the reality is he hasn't taken a discount. He's just basically said, "Look, I'm going to take the money I can get, And like you can see it with Matthews' contract, like he's never taken the full 8-year deal. He's always taken like a shorter term deal that gives him more money and never really buys out his. And the first one didn't really buy out any of his like UFA years, right? So they were just trying to bait a reaction out of him, and like obviously,
it puts shade on
hockey
those
players are trained.
Yeah, and it's this conversation of like, do these guys not want to win, etc. And I don't think that's a fair conversation to put on them, because it's like, you know, they're guys that take a lot of money and do win. So it's like, are those guys, because they're taking what they deserve, they're not winners? Like,
well, also the other thing I want to point out too is a person's career only lasts so long. So like you want to make as much money as you can while you're still playing, right? It's not like also like I hate to say this, but like I don't want to say there's no loyalty in any of this, but there really isn't.
Well,
like again, like teams can just trade unless you have a no movement clause. Like you can just get traded on a whim, and like.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, like that's why again I don't hate Matthews for not taking it. Would have been nice he took a discount, yeah, but like I mean the guy wanted his money. He's only going to play for so long. I will say, right?
So not only the shade part on the players that did take the money. So again, the guys like Kaprizov, the guys like Matthews, to an extent, the guys like McKinnon, right? But it also drives salaries down. And here's the thing people don't understand: guys already take less as is because they don't go to free agency. We'll talk about this with some of the other guys that signed. Like, if Jack Eichel, Kyle Connor, Austin Matthews, Kaprizov all hit free agency, they would guaranteed get more than they got. If they were just going to the highest bidder,
yeah, because the reality is someone is going to be desperate enough to pay them that money. Like, that's how free agency always works. Somebody has the money to throw around. Somebody's desperate enough to turn around the fortunes of their franchise. And somebody will be like, blank check to one of these free agents, and they're going to, they can bend the team over backwards.
So what annoys me is when people say these guys just don't, you know, it's like, it's about the money, they don't want to win. I guarantee you if Austin Matthews hit free agency, and it was just about going to the highest bidder, a team like Chicago, San Jose, Utah, when Arizona existed,
they would throw him like, they would probably throw him the same thing, like 18, 20 probably. I'm not, or maybe not 20.
Same with Eichel, same with Eichel and Connor just decided, hey, I just want to hit free agency. Let's see what happens. You don't think Chicago would trip over themselves to sign Kyle Connor to pair with Connor Bedard? Or, like, really? You don't think New York would trip? Like, you don't think New York would trip over themselves to bring Jack Eichel to Madison Square Garden? Absolutely, right? Like, let's not pretend that's the case. Like, when Panarin hit free agency, there's a reason he got the contract he got. It was basically a bid, and even he took a discount relative to what he could have gotten from other teams. So that's the part I don't like about it. It's the shade on other players and the pressure on other players. And it also drives salaries down, right? Like, I'll give you an example, right? Seth Jones, when he took that $9.5 million per year contract, is the most recent example, right? Because if you remember, during that same offseason, a lot of guys got contracts around that same number because Seth Jones, the most infamous Darnell Nurse, right? Darnell Nurse got 9.25 because of Seth Jones, basically. Let's be real. Dougie Hamilton that year got 9. Zach Werenski, who was still good, but a lot of injury-prone years, got 9.5. And they all signed within 2 weeks after Seth Jones signed. But imagine if Seth Jones had signed for 6. How different would that have gone? I know Oilers fans are like, fuck, why didn't he sign for 6? But how different would those negotiations have gone, right? And they would have
because the whole thing with the cap situation is you're always looking for comparables, right? Like, for example, in the Darnell Nurse case, like if somebody's like, well, I'm way better than Darnell Nurse and he's making 9, like why the fuck am I not making 9, right? Like a lot of these things are comparables, right? So like again, if somebody's signing for a lot less, like especially if it's a star player, then the teams will just be like, well, I mean, they took 12, like why should we pay you 15? Right, and that kind of hurts. Exactly. Then hurts the negotiating power on the player's behalf, right? So in the case of McDavid, like it's going to be a little bit because he took a bit of a discount.
Because it's a 2-year, it's a little bit weird, but there is still the potential that a front office looks at that and like just has a conversation about it, right? How could you not?
Yeah.
I'm also not a fan of like the pressure it puts on outlier situations, right? So you talked about like how players are finite, they have only a limited playing career. And injuries can happen at any time. Career change, like career-threatening injuries can happen at any time. Heck, look at Marian Hossa, right? Like random things can happen that you don't expect that can alter the trajectory of someone's career.
I think Hossa's one was weird, right? Wasn't he like?
Yeah, because he's
allergic to his. Yeah, wasn't he allergic to his like equipment essentially? That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but like
crazy.
Again, randomly pops up, right? And I'm not a fan of what happens in outliers. Let me give you an example. And this is a hypothetical. I'm not saying it will happen, but let's just say, okay, they don't win the cup this year. They don't win the cup the second year. Last year, going into free agency, McDavid gets like a Landeskog level injury where he's supposed to be out for 2 years. What do you guys like? Let's be real here. Think about the pressure that puts on Edmonton now, where they can't pay him what he's worth, but now it puts him in a situation because, he gave you a discount, right? And it puts you in this weird spot where now, like, if McDavid gets like a really bad injury, like next year or the year after, if you're the Oilers, you're in this weird spot where it's like, if you pay him what he's worth or what he was worth prior, it's going to decimate your team potentially. But if you don't pay him what he's worth and you say it's a business, well, all of a sudden this turns back on you, right? And it puts. I'm not a fan of those situations because it just. At the end of the day, I accept that sports is entertainment and it's also a business. But when you do stuff like this, it creates this really weird gray area. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it creates a gray area, but also, like, if you look at it from the player's perspective, like, if McDavid gets that 2-year injury, he just loses so much money that he shouldn't, like, lose out on, right? Because, like, if his knee gets wrecked, he's out for 2 years. That's 2 years where he doesn't make money. And then when he does come back, like, no one's going to give him that money he was going to, like, would have wanted before, right?
But it's
like,
also a damned if you do,
player.
damned if you don't, right? Like, if you're the Oilers, it's like, okay, well, if we pay him $20 million, and that's $20 million, you can say LTIR, but realistically, it's like, that's a player you don't have on the roster that can
also, the LTIR only works like once the season starts too.
Yeah.
So you can't put a guy on LTIR during the offseason. So you can't. So like hamstrings you during the offseason, and also by the time the season starts, it's hard to actually make moves because everyone's already made all their moves by that point. So it's like you either hamstring yourself and be like, we'll pay him the $20 million because he helped us a discount, or if you don't pay him, now you look like the scummiest like team possible because the guy, you literally bit the hand that fed you.
And the reason and the other thing too is I know McDavid again. That's an outlier scenario. I understand that, but it's not completely out of the realm.
It's still a possibility.
Right.
It's a possibility that can happen. It's not like it's a 0% impossible possibility.
The other thing too is like I think of guys like Kevin Labanc. Where if you remember, Kevin Labanc signed like a 1-year, $1 million deal with San Jose. That dude's out of the NHL right now. When that year he signed that contract, he could have signed a long-term deal for security. And even if he's out of the NHL or if he's like struggling to make it, at least he has more millions in the bank.
Didn't the Sharks still kind of give him like a decent enough a deal like after that year, or am I just? I don't remember
but it's not what he could have gotten off that.
Yeah, it's not what he could have gotten. Okay.
But he gave them a discount basically, that 1-year, $1 million deal, and right now he's playing with the Shanghai Dragons in the KHL.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last time he was in the league was last year with the Blue Jackets. Yeah, that was the last time he was in the league. Let's see. They re-signed him to a 4-year, 18. So he probably could have gotten more. Yeah, he probably should have gotten a bit more than.
He got like some 18. Of the bag back, but it's not what he should have gotten, right?
But he lost a chunk. He basically lost a decent chunk.
He had 56 points in 82 games and signed $1 million deal right after. Like.
And then 33 and 77 and 33 and 70, which kind of hurt his like negotiating power essentially.
Yeah. Like again, I'm not a fan of what happens in outlier situations, and it just puts undue pressure on people. And here's the other thing too: people love it when it's this situation. Guy takes a discount. Seems like he wants to win. He wants to, like do good for Edmonton, who hasn't seen a cup in 30-ish years. But here's the thing. When people take discounts, people love it in this situation. They hate it in other situations. Because people that don't follow other sports, everyone forgets. When free agency hit 1 year, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh all took a discount together. And they all joined up on the same team. And they proceeded to ruin the Eastern Conference for like a good 3 years, right? People forget that like their situations. I just don't like the inconsistency, I guess, where people complain about, people love it when people take a discount like this, but don't like it in situations like that, because it's basically the same thing. You're taking a discount to try to win, right? And I guarantee you, if in 2 years, McDavid, they don't win, and McDavid and Matthews say leave to a team, let's say they leave to New York, hypothetical, and they both take discounts to win, people will not be happy about that, right?
Yeah, like if he'll try to join up and do like, I guess it didn't really count when Parise and like Suter did it, sort of.
Yeah, 'cause
Like
it's
I don't even know if
they're not the
they
same
weren't
level.
really discounts either. But like again, like we saw what happened with LeBron, D Wade, and Bosch, right? Like nobody wants that to happen. Like nobody wants the league to get ruined if like all the super like
But
all the superstars join one team kind of thing,
But
right? So
if players start taking discounts, because here's the other thing too, people don't realize: if players start taking discounts, suddenly you can move wherever you want. That mobility is your friend, right? And like people, so what people don't understand is like the NBA doesn't have it. Like the NHL has a max salary technically, like 20% of the cap, but the NBA has like strict max salaries, right? So you can join multiple max salaries on one team. And granted, it works in the NBA easier because there's less players. But like the idea of guys taking discounts to join up, we're lucky we haven't seen it in the NHL because we've seen it in every other league. Guys have left to join together in free agency in baseball before. Guys have definitely done it in basketball. I mean, football doesn't really have a free agency, but when guys get cut kind of thing. But like, outside of that. But again, I'm just talking about like the general reasons like of why I don't like guys taking discounts. And then if we're talking about the hockey specific aspect, so this is going to overinflate free agency like crazy right now. Because right now, if you go to free agency, the guys that are signing extensions, like there's nobody. Free agency is barren, and there's teams with a ton of money,
but no one to spend it on.
No one to spend. Like Alex Tuck is like messaging. I guarantee you, he's messaging his girlfriend Conor McGregor style. It's a red panty night. Like Alex Tuck, when he hits free agency, will be doing the Dave Chappelle "I'm rich, bitch" because he's going to be the belle of the ball if he doesn't sign an extension, and there's going to be teams waiting to make it rain on him, right? And the other thing too is here's the thing: the counter to that though is if prices of free agents get overinflated, what teams are going to do is they're going to do something similar to what the Leafs did. They're going to extend their internal players, and they're only going to sign the guys to 1-year deals because they're just going to keep
push it out for the next batch,
as opposed to signing a bad contract, right? And teams will do that. Like again, you look at the Leafs; they were kind of waiting on free agency. What do they do? 1-year deal, 1-year deal, a 2-year deal, like basically holding out for free agency. And teams. And if the price of FAs get overinflated, teams are just going to opt out. And then you have weird situations where, like, guys like Jack Roslovic and Matt Grzelcyk, who are like, they're not amazing players, but they're good enough.
The NHL players, they all waited out till like closer to the start of like essentially the start. And
basically, they're signing these like 1-year nothing relative nothing deals.
Yeah,
right?
1-year-ish deals. Yeah.
And then the other thing too, that's hockey specific is. The implication of this contract is everyone's talked about Edmonton's cap space. What people don't understand is every team in the league is going to have cap space. Like I sent this, I just want to pull this up here, but I sent this.
Yeah, I think you sent this picture. Was it after the Eichel extension?
Yeah. So
I think you sent it essentially here. I don't think I'll have it up. I can read it at least for people if you can't. Here,
I can pull it up. Just 1 second. Let me grab this here. But it's kind of an interesting.
On the Crease podcast. Yeah, we have a WhatsApp chat for this, and I remember you shared this in the chat with me.
Okay, WhatsApp's just taking some time to load here because I guess I haven't put it up on our screen in a while. But just give me 1 second here. But okay, a team you think wouldn't have cap space, even like Vegas has cap space. Just to put this in perspective here, I can pull this up here right now.
Okay, I'm just trying to find it too because it's a little bit of a struggle. I've had to scroll pretty far.
No, I got it here. Okay.
You got it? Okay, sweet. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't think
so I'm just gonna pull this up here. This is from the Vegas Golden Knights subreddit. Again, I'm not a hater because I'll read different subreddits at times. Even though I'm a Stars fan, even though I'm a Stars fan, like I choose, So I'm just gonna pull this up for people here. So this is Vegas's cap following the Eichel extension from again. Cross-tweeted at Sinbin Vegas. So this is Vegas's cap situation with the Eichel extension. And again, this is already having Marner, already signed Eichel, already having Hurdle under contract, Theodore, again, Hannafin, and Whitecloud. But if you look at this, the only notable RFA, they'll have to sign Dorofeyev probably around maybe 5 or 6, especially with the hot start he's having. But yeah. Outside of that, like they have $16 million in cap space pending, basically Pavel Dorofeyev's contract.
Yeah, but if he signs them for 6, they have $10 million, which can still get them a pretty fucking good player, right? In free agency.
And that's a team that again has signed elite players, both in free agency, through trade and sign, etc. Like, there are other teams that are going to have that. Like, Tampa signed all their guys on a flat cap. Think about the cap space they're going to have. Think about the cap space. Think about the cap space. The teams in free agency that have, again, they're looking to take the next step, like San Jose, Chicago, who have star young players, right? So it's not just those teams that maybe people say no one wants to play for. It's the teams that also, like Vegas, who have that cap space available too. So, like, the free agency, the other reason, and I get why McDavid did it. He wanted to win, but I don't know how much of an effect it's going to have, because when everybody has cap space, it's just going to come down to where guys want to go.
Yeah. Like, it's going to come down to choice, because everyone has, essentially, like, if everyone has, like, around 15, 16 million in cap space, like,
you're just going to pick it's going to come down to other variable
You can basically
factors.
land everyone except, like, you can basically land everyone except, like, if unless they're, like, a top 5 player, because they're, like, a top 5 player, they're probably going to get if Kaprizov got, basically 18, they could probably get, like, 19 or 20. So, like, maybe you don't land one of those guys, but, like, you basically have a choice. Like, you have a pretty good,
most teams, exactly.
Good selections. Yeah. It's just a matter of, is your team situation appealing enough for the guy to want to come?
I mean, again, even the Leafs, right? There's a reason they're bypassing. Again, they're signing these 1-year deals. They're going to have cap space too, right? It's a lot of the Rangers are even going to have cap space, pending Panarin's whatever Panarin does in free agency, right? So it's like all these teams are going to have cap space. So it's going to be. So I understand why.
Even in the Panarin case, it's scarier because, like, he might just be like, okay, well, if I'm 30, like, you know, if he's not going to be making 11.5, but he might go back to the Rangers for, let's say, like, I don't know, like, can you say, like, is 9 or 10 safe? 9? Would you even save
7, 8, like, maybe?
Yeah, like, if he goes back, you know, suddenly they have even more space, because, like, they gained actually an extra $3 million from Panarin taking less, right? Everybody's gonna have money to throw around. It's gonna be like everyone's gonna be waving that, like, wad of cash around, just throwing it, like, around, essentially.
And again, I understand why McDavid took the discount. I'm curious to see what the ripple effect is on cap space, because I don't know how much of an effect it's going to have, just because every team's going to have it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, with everyone having so much cap space, even, like, that's why, like, I don't really agree with taking the discount either. It's like everyone's going to have so much cap space. If people start taking discounts, like, there's going to be teams with, like, crazy cap space, and, like, they might be still signing, like, guys left and right.
There's going to be a bunch of bad contracts, because if say a lot of these guys sign internally, again, Alex Tuch, who's a good player, don't get me wrong, like, I like Alex
might get
Tuch,
like 10 or 11 mil from somebody who's desperate enough to pay him.
It's like, what else are you?
He's the best one available.
Yeah,
cream of the crop. And
the other thing is, maybe people don't want to overpay for those contracts. So what happens is, now you're gonna have, like, maybe Alex Tuch takes a 1-year deal to enter free agency again, right? Like, that could happen. And you see that happen in other leagues all the time. Guys take 1-year deals and hope to enter free agency again, right?
Basically, the bet on yourself, the bet on yourself contract. Essentially, that's what it is,
right? And so that's why, again, like, I understand why he did the discount. I understand the implications of the discount. I'm just not a fan of it, and I am curious to see what the Oilers do with it in an area where everyone has cap space. Like, that's just my take on it. Because at the end of the day, like, there's not much to talk about in terms of the analysis of the contract or the analysis of McDavid's play. Like, it's Connor McDavid.
It's a damn fucking good contract for Edmonton. That's all. That's the easiest thing. Easiest sentence I could have ever given you. I wouldn't even have to look it up.
Any contract would have been a good contract for McDavid. Like, let's just be real. Right?
I mean, he's the best hockey player in the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're paying, unless you're paying him the entire salary cap. Then
you can't.
You can't. But my point is, essentially, there's no contract that's bad for him.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to the next signing here. So Kirill Kaprizov signed. He became the richest contract in NHL history, because he signed for 8 years, $136 million, average annual value of $17 million per year. Yeah, it's the richest contract in NHL history. It's the highest AAV in the cap era since 2005. What's interesting is there was someone with a higher AAV in 2005.
Who was that?
I don't know. I gotta pull this up. I just read it off Associated Press. And
you know what's funny though? Like, he apparently, according to reports, he apparently turned down 8 years, $128 million. So all Minnesota had to do was, like, we'll just give you an extra $1 million each year. How does that sound? And he was like, yeah, sure. Because do you remember that Twitter, like that tweet that you sent me where he had said that he declined 8 years, 128? But the reality was all Minnesota had to do was like, hey, we'll just add an extra $1 million to your AAV each year deal. Although Kaprizov's contract is interesting, the way it's structured is kind of apparently it's like one of a kind. So he's gonna get 20% of his 20% of his 95.5 cap in salary / signing bonus. So he's getting around like 19.1 million in signing bonuses essentially like the first 4 years.
Really?
Or like something like that. He's getting and his actual like salary is like only 1 mil for like the full 8 years. Like his actual like salary part is like 1 mil for the 8 years. So according to his signing bonuses, I think something. So he's getting his signing bonuses all on July 1st. I don't know why July 1st. But I'm guessing is it just because it's the first day of free agency? I don't know if that's why, but so his signing bonus.
The Associated Press had a misprint. I think it was 2015. It was Shea Weber.
Okay, well that kind of makes sense because Weber, that makes sense with Weber. But yeah, his signing bonus in 2026 will be 18.1, 2027 18.1, 2028 18. So basically 18.1 till 2030, and in 2030 he gets 16 in signing bonuses. 31 he gets 14.2, 32. So it's kind of funny because I feel like usually the signing bonuses aren't they? They're not that they're back or what's the right term? Oh fuck, I'm blanking on the term. Backloaded. They're not usually backloaded, but like. I've never seen them front loaded so much. I've never seen a contract front load the signing bonuses like this.
No, I mean they did in those old cap circumvention contracts. Remember that Kovalchuk one that like never passed because it was like $1 million at the end.
Yeah, but I think that's because his actual salary $1 million. But I'm assuming there was no signing bonuses even at the end of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it is. Whereas in this case, like he's still getting signing bonuses up to a certain point, right? So. And then I think he has a full no move clause, which makes sense because like if I'm Kaprizov, I don't want to just get randomly shipped. Although I don't know who would have 18 million just lying around him.
Oh, okay, I found the article by Associated Press. Sorry, I'm just gonna make an edit here. I kind of screwed this up. It said the highest AAV since the cap era began in 2005. I'm sorry. So Leon Draisaitl had the most.
Oh yeah, you know what? Now that makes sense because like 2005, 2005 was when the cap was injured. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Because it was, I think, Draisaitl, and then this year it was Marner. But, like, it's funny because Draisaitl was just 14, and I'm pretty sure Weber's AAV was 14 for, like, a while until, for a while.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so what I was explaining earlier, it makes sense why I said 19.1, because the 18.1 is the signing bonus, and then he gets 1 million in actual salary for the year. So that's why it's 19.1 in his first 4 years. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, I kind of read that wrong. Forgot to read the salary / signing bonuses part. Okay, so that makes sense.
But yeah, so it's basically the highest AAV. Sorry, and I'm sorry about that. The highest AAV in the salary cap era. Look, here's the thing. People can say it was greed or whatever, but to me, Kaprizov's well worth this cost because I talked about this before. If he had hit free agency, he would have got more.
Yeah, somebody would be desperate enough to pay him that. And like the only thing with Kaprizov, like the only thing you can even poke at with this contract is like, yes, he's a little injury prone. That's it. Like there's nothing else you can like shit on Kaprizov for. So like it's not that I'm not going to say it's not that he's well worth money, but like you pay your superstar guys, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't let them get to free agency. So if I'm Minnesota, like they did the right thing.
Yeah. The formula is to pay your superstars and figure out the depth guys, right? And like he's well worth this cost, both in the current market, I think more so to the Wild. Like he's indispensable to the Wild. Like the chemistry with Boldy alone and like how he enhances Boldy's game is insane. And then also bear in mind, he puts up these points with a real lack of an elite center. Look, I like Joel Eriksson Ek. I think Marco Rossi's a solid player, but they're not elite centers offensively, right? And you think of all the other good players or good wings in the league and the center help they have in comparison, it's not even close. And here's the reality.
Is the only one that doesn't have one also probably like Pasternak? Is he like the only other exception?
Yeah, Pasternak's the only one.
Yeah, that's because I was thinking like Kucherov has Point. Like Marner has like Eichel. I'm trying to think of is there
Marner has had Eichel and Matthews
and
Rantanen has Hintz, who's like not amazing but still good. Panarin has had Trocheck and now JT Miller. Like everyone has good centers, right? Like it's him and Pasternak, and like Pasternak at least had Bergeron for most of his career, right? So
yeah,
it's one of those things where he's indispensable to the Wild because he's the offensive hub on that team. And if they don't sign him and he leaves, they have to blow this team up. Because what are they going to do? They don't have any offense in the pipeline. They don't really have any, again, offensive centers in the pipeline either that are elite or project to be elite. So you're really kind of stuck there. And with all that in mind, Kaprizov had that leverage and he used it. And like other people opting to do different, like McDavid, shouldn't change that fact.
Yeah, I think it hurts. I think it kind of hurts like Kaprizov a little bit. Like I don't know, like 'cause I think Kaprizov signed before McDavid, right? Like if I'm not mistaken. Or was
Yeah, he
that...
did. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it shouldn't like hurt because like who knows if McDavid signed after and signed for more, like no one would be shitting on Kaprizov, right? But it shouldn't be that because McDavid took a discount that people give like Kaprizov shit for it, kind of thing.
No, like Kaprizov's well worth it. He's one of the few. Like he's a guy that could win MVP, and you always pay those guys. And I have no.
Also, I will say
problem
left wingers like good left wingers in this league are more like I argue are more scarce than like good centers and good right wingers too. So like
Yeah, we've talked about it for fantasy.
so it's like
purposes.
even that to an extent too, right? Like you don't it's a premium position. Like I know people say goalie's a premium position, but like it is a premium position given forwards. So it's like, he's well worth the money just for that alone. Like you don't find like I think after him it's Connor, who funny enough is one of the other guys we'll talk about. But like after those two, there's a massive drop off in like left wingers essentially, right? So
Yeah. No, it is interesting for sure. But overall, like I have no problem with it. People can talk about the greed or take the money, but again, he's worth it and he had the leverage and he used it. There's no harm in that. And
well,
it's
also
not
his
like,
case is a little bit different too because he it's not like McDavid was already making 12.5 all those previous years. Like Kaprizov was not that he was on an entry like because he played in the KHL for so long. Like I don't know how much money he made there, right? That's a
Right.
different thing because he also came
and
over.
to be
like,
honest, it's Russian accounting. We'll never know how much money he makes. Let's
exactly,
be
but my
real.
point is like he probably wasn't making crazy amounts of money when he was in the KHL, right? And obviously he came over, signed that 3-year entry level to do so. He had to play it on that just like everybody else. So which means he's like, and he started his entry deal a lot later than other people did, right? So like that means he's already lost a decent chunk of money that other people
Like,
didn't get. So that's why
all
I'm
I'm
fine
gonna
with it
s-
overall.
All I'm gonna say is the guy put up 108 points with Joel Eriksson. And again, I like Joel Eriksson, but like as an offensive hub, the guy put up 108 points with Joel Eriksson as his center. He put up 96 points with JEE as his and Mark and JE as a center. Last year, I know he was injury shortened, but he put up 1.37 points per game with JEE and Marco Rossi as center. He's already off to I think like 10 points in 7 games or something like that. Like this is the guy you pay, and you pay your elite players without question. And people can say what they want about the cost. To me, if the difference is irrelevancy versus just overpaying maybe slightly by a couple mil, I'll take that trade 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like I think again, the philosophy: pay your stars, figure out the rest later. And
Yeah.
I think the Wild did they did their job. So now they just got to figure out their depth and figure out what they're going to do with that.
100%. All right, moving on to the next one. We talked about the other left wing, Kyle Connor, signed an 8-year, $96 million contract extension with the Winnipeg Jets. Again, $12 million AAV. For me, it's weird because it is a steal of a contract relative to what he'd get on the UFA market, right? Because here's the reality. One, he had all the leverage in the world because Winnipeg doesn't get high-level free agents generally. And again,
Winnipeg typically can't sign. Yeah, they can't sign good free agents, right? So what they have to do is they have to keep their homegrown guys, right? If you can't sign free agents, you need to keep your homegrown guys, and then maybe you got to hope that like some trades kind of work out in your favor. Like some of the guys you get in trades just work out, right? So, and also Connor could have also just said, "I don't want to be in Winnipeg anymore," because let's be honest, like it is on a lot of players like no like movement clauses, no trade lists essentially, right?
But
he could have decided he wanted to leave too.
He could have just also been like, hey, I'm going to test free agency, and you can match yourself up against the bidders. And again, you don't think Detroit wants to put Dylan Larkin next to him. You don't think Bedard, like Chicago wants to put Bedard. Like, there are teams that will go out of their way to pay Kyle Connor. So, like, in one sense, this is a disc. You're talking about a guy, like, getting 12 mil. That's career.
It's funny you mentioned Detroit because like he's born in like he isn't. I think he's from Michigan, right? So like,
oh, is he? Okay.
Going home could have honestly been a real possibility. I guess like it is kind of close enough to home. Like the closest he could have gone to home.
There's a lot of
real
players
possibility,
from
right?
Michigan, though, right? Like Connor Hellebuck, I believe is. I mean, DeBrincat went home. Like Michigan and Minnesota are pretty hockey hotbed as far, so it's not surprising.
Yeah, but like again, he could have chosen and gone home, and like again, somebody could have even Chicago could have been like, yeah, we'll just throw like thrown a crazy amount at him, or some crazy, like maybe 15, like 15 or 16. Yeah, I'm not saying 20, but like 15 or 16. They could throw in 15, 16. It's like, here, come play with Connor Bedard.
And yeah, I think it's a steal relative to what he'd get on the UFA market, because I think he'd get more. And for a career 0.95 points per game, it, like, to me, that is a steal. Now, the only interesting is, like, they're paying him like an elite goal scorer, I guess, if you compare him relative to other guys. And those guys do always get paid, but he only hit 40 goals twice. So it is like
he's not a true, like, he's not like a elite, like a super elite scorer, right? And like, he typically, like, it's not like he doesn't get over 80 points a ton, right? Like, he's done it a couple times, but it's not like, you know, he's never hit like 100, right? He's getting paid for a guy. He feels like he's getting paid for a guy who should hit 100, but has never hit 100, if you know what I mean.
Right. Like, he's getting close, but I get it, because so I think it's a weird, interesting thing that works two ways, where it is a bit of an upside projection, but it's a steal relative to what he'd get out of the market. And if you're Winnipeg, you have to take it because you don't want him to test the market and you don't get free agents. So it works for both sides. And I think the interesting thing with Winnipeg is it just seems like what Winnipeg's plan is, and it's fair given their situation. They're just going to stick with this core and ride it out. And you kind of have to, right? Because again, you don't really get guys, and your hope is either you trade for guys like Gabe Vilardi and Alex Alafalo who outplay their pedigree, their worth, or you draft and develop guys like Kyle Connor, like Mark Scheifele, like
but in order to draft guys like that, you typically, I'm not gonna say you have to blow it up, but like you have to have higher draft picks, right? Like it's hard to find guys that like hit in the later rounds, right? So you need to either blow it up and go high draft picks, or, you know, in your case, just keep with the current core and just hope that eventually you can just push through the, like, that quote unquote door, like the Capitals kind of did, right? Because Capitals eventually like stuck with theirs and then just kind of pushed through, right? I don't know if there's the same amount of talent as there was on that Caps. Like, I don't know if there's the same amount of talent on Winnipeg.
There's not that all-time talent, but like, there are good players on the team. There is Scheifele, there's Connor, there's again Morrissey, Pionk, Hellebuck. Once Dylan Sandberg comes back, they'll definitely be better as well. I think they're riding out the score. I think after losing Ehlers, there was no way. If you lose Ehlers and Connors in back-to-back off seasons, what do you do if you're Winnipeg?
I'm not gonna lie. Also, I feel like your fans would riot too, wouldn't you? Like, if you're a Winnipeg Jets fan, wouldn't you riot?
Here's the thing: people don't understand about Winnipeg. That's compared to other markets. Winnipeg is not Toronto. Winnipeg is not Edmonton. Winnipeg is not Montreal. If the team is bad, and this isn't to be mean to, like, this is just a fact. Like, the economy of Winnipeg relative to the economy of like Edmonton, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. Like, if the team is bad, attendance dips in Winnipeg. Like,
well, not even that, but like I was gonna point out, like, even if Winnipeg's good, no one wants to go there. If they're bad, there's definitely no one wants to go there, right?
Like, it's just an issue where, like, Winnipeg kind of has to ride this core out, and, you know, as long as possible until they have to do the rebuild, because there are going to be some realistically, like, I will say, for when Winnipeg's rocking like they were last year, like, the whiteout and stuff is awesome. But realistically, like, every team has to go through a rebuild. There will be some lean years. And, like, you kind of want to put that off as long as possible if you're ownership. And if you're Kyle Connor, I guess, like, again, you took a bit of a discount. It seems like, now, I will say, like I said, they're paying you like an elite goal scorer. It is a bit of a projection. But, again, maybe Kyle Connor just likes, it's the comfort of the situation, the comfort playing in familiar settings, and I guess the comfort of just playing on one team your whole career, most likely. So, you know.
I mean, fair play to him. I mean, he got a pretty damn good contract. It's not like he got underpaid, right? Like, I think the 12 is actually, like, it feels kind of perfect for both sides.
Yeah.
It does feel perfect for both sides, because, like, he gets the money, he gets good money, and Winnipeg doesn't have to deal with
he's in a good team situation.
But Winnipeg doesn't have to deal with losing him either, because like they struggle to keep their guys. That's the issue. They struggle to keep guys and they struggle to sign guys, right? Yeah. So it kind of just works out for everybody, I think.
And again, you're paying him like an elite goal scorer, even though he's not. But so there is a bit of upside in what you think he'll do. But again, the cost of it is you're paying him that so he doesn't go to free agency. So I think it's fine all around.
Is there upside though? Like, he's already 28, right? Like, I don't know. Is there upside?
It just seems like the last 2 years, like last year, he definitely hit a different gear. And if he's that guy,
yeah, okay, he's definitely he's definitely hit a. Well, actually, not the last year. I'd say the last Last year he definitely did because like the year before there was a bit of a drop.
Yeah,
Oh, he only played
like,
65 games. I don't know.
yeah.
He's weird. Like he had 1 year he
But
hit
I'd
93.
say like he only had one other year before it was over a point per game. But if he's going to be an over point per game 40 goal guy, that is a different gear.
Yeah, okay, fair. But it's just like again, I don't know if that is the
For
gear
sure.
he'll
But
hit, right?
that's the upside projection.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, fair enough.
Because
if
he's
it's
not
just weird with Connor. He's never hit 100
because you're
points,
not
so I
paying
always
him
find
for
it
his
weird for him.
defense, right? You're not
Yep.
paying...
Okay, yeah, no. Like I don't know who's paying him for his. You're paying him to hang around center ice. I'm just kidding, but
like so it's one of those things there. But yeah, overall I'm good with it. And then the other one here, Jack Eichel signing. Look, I think this is a steal for Vegas. Let's just be honest here. Like this is. Vegas.
well,
I
think he also works perfect for their situation, right? Because like one of the things people don't realize is he's a really like his production's obviously really good. And he's a good shooter, so he pairs really well with Marner. But he's also really good defensively too. Like
he's one of the better, well-rounded centers in the league.
Exactly. So it's like having him and Marner, like two, like I would argue, like potential Selke kind of caliber forwards on your first line. Like the fact they can spread both of those guys out across two different penalty kill units, it's kind of crazy. Like they have Marner on one, they have Eichel on the other.
The other thing I think is the reason I think it's a steal is because his performance could explode with Marner. He was already a near point per game guy, basically.
Yeah, this was without Marner, and they just added him this year, right? Yeah. So it's like again, if Marner gives him like a shit ton of good passes, like his goals go up, he gets even more points. Boom! Like there's another gear that could get hit with this.
And if you look at it, Marner's always been, say what you want about the criticism in the playoffs, Marner's always been one of the league leaders in goals created, and it reflects when you watch the way he plays as well. And there's a chance that like Jack Eichel could be 100-point guy with Mitch Marner. It's not inconceivable, and it's one of the few deals I think where I like to trade.
Even then, I think last year he was scoring at a 100-point pace right before he got hurt. I think even. Yeah. So like again, it's the fact he could do like he was already on pace without Marner, and now that you add Marner into that, like I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion he gets to 100 points, but like I mean look at the start he's had. He's okay, not sustainable, but he's more than 2 points. He's like more than 2 points per game right now. Like
yeah.
It is like
he was 94 and 77. His issue has just been really health because like again 94 and 77, 68 and 63 like. 94 and 77 with Mitch Marner could easily be 182 or 81.
Well, right now he's 16 points in 7 games. Yeah. So, like, yeah,
everything's
kind of coming together.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, 17.6 shooting percentage, a little bit high, but like, there will be sometimes those years where it's a little bit higher, right? So we don't know.
And you're talking about a guy who finished last year 5th in Hart voting, 5th in Selke voting, right? Just shows you how, again, I know voting isn't everything, but it gives you an idea of the player he is. And proven playoff performer, right? No offense to Leaf fans, but like he's a guy that's done it in the playoffs, right? 26 points in 22 games the year they won the cup, right? 7 points in 7 games 2 years ago, 10 and like basically a point per game guy in the playoffs. So to me, it's an absolute
43 points in 40 playoff games. Yeah, like he's always showing up in the playoffs. Obviously, it was hard to see that because like Buffalo never made the playoffs. But like once he got to an actual playoff team,
you're always curious. It's funny though because Sam Reinhart and Eichel have killed it in the playoffs, and they were both on Buffalo. Is wild.
I know it's crazy. It's like crazy to have that kind of talent in like
Sabres factory of sadness. The other thing too is I'll say this: I'm not a very sentimental guy when it comes to stuff generally, but I do like the trade off in that like. If you remember, Vegas was willing to take the risk with
on
the
his
surgery,
right? And it's paid off in spades. It's paid off. It's like they have a cup. They have Eichel on the extension. Like everything's kind of. But like, I think and Eichel got his contract, right? It's kind of worked out for everybody.
If you remember, there was a reason why Buffalo only got Alex Tuch and Peyton Krebs because there was a lot of apprehension at the time, and Vegas took the risk with the surgery and put belief in him. And Eichel, has repaid it with his performance, and it's kind of cool to see that work out, right? So I'm a fan. I think, like, honestly...
Yeah, so they took a chance on him, and then they reward him with that kind of, like, took a chance on reward him with that kind of salary, right? So, happy story, basically.
And it's just another steal for Vegas. And like we talked about their cap situation, they have Eichel, Marner, Hertl, again, like, most of their key guys under contract and on the defensive side, and...
The only one they don't have signed is Dorofeev. Yeah, the only one they don't have signed is Dorofeev.
like it's just frightening what could happen, right? With
And
Vegas
also, what if
again. And
what if Hart actually does work out too? Like
I mean, if you saw Aiden Hill got hurt yesterday, like
again.
they might need Hart sooner rather than
Oh yeah, I was
later.
gonna say I noticed that because I think I'm playing a guy in our fantasy league who had Hill, and I was like wondering why is Hill's save counter stuck at 4? And then I checked, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this makes sense. He
And it
got
was
hurt
a
again.
non-contact, I believe. So yeah,
And I think he couldn't put any weight on his leg when he
yeah.
came off the ice. I think when what I saw. So yeah, this could be an issue. So
No, it's so the Carter Hart thing might come up sooner rather than later. Funnily enough. All right. Moving on. Speaking of goalies, the other contract before we get into the RFA deals, I want to talk about. The
Gustafsson
the
extension,
Gustafsson
right?
extension. To me, it's a fair deal. I don't really have much to
5
say.
years, 5 years, almost 7 million almost 7 million AV because it's 34, so it's like 6 point something I think, but I'm too lazy to do the math in my head right now. No, but actually I'll just do it on my phone really quickly, just so we actually have the
Well,
numbers.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's basically market price for a goalie. Like, let's just be
6.8.
honest. Yeah, it's
There you go.
market price for a goalie, basically. The only question I have with this contract, and I mentioned this to you, is I wonder what it means for Wallstedt. Like, are they willing to pay Wallstedt if he plays well, or is this more of an Askarov situation that is matriculating or bubbling under the surface? That's the
This
thing I'm
feels
more curious
weird.
about.
I don't know. I was actually thinking like, what if I'm Wallstedt and I just saw that? Like, am I just gonna be like, hey, I just want to trade out, like, you know? Because like I don't know I'm not gonna say, for example, if I'm Edmonton, I'm licking my chops. Like I'm like, yo, you
We
know,
missed out on him in the draft and signed.
yeah,
Was that the year they took Xavier Borgo? I think
I think so. Let me check
when like everyone was telling them to take Wallstedt. Although Minnesota probably won't trade him to Edmonton. If they trade him, it'd probably be outside the conference. I would assume. But
yeah, I think
yeah,
the
like
2021 draft year. Let me see. Yeah, so they took. Yeah, they actually no. Well, Wallstedt went 2 picks before Borgo, so they didn't really
but
have a
didn't
shot on him.
Edmonton didn't they trade down?
Oh yeah, they did. Oh, yeah, they traded down with Minnesota.
Yeah, that's what it was. Okay,
I just
that's
saw
what
that. Sorry, I was looking at the
thought,
pick
'cause there was a
numbers.
whole controversy. But I am curious to see what it means. Now, granted, they have some time to make a decision on the Walls. Like maybe they do just end up paying 2 goalies with the cap going up for a bit.
Maybe they eventually just pay Wallstedt and just trade Gustafsson too. Like I'm not.
Yeah, that's also a possibility as well. But overall, I thought the contract was a fair deal for his performance. When Gustafsson's on, he's probably a top 8 goalie in the league, I would say. And realistically, since he's gone to Minnesota, outside of that 1 year, he's been pretty good. But again, I think my more curiosity was what it means for Wallstedt, because we saw where Saros, when he got the extension, Askarov wanted out. I am just curious what it means. That's all, really. Not much to say beyond that.
Yep.
And
Do you
then
want to talk about some of the RFAs now then? Because I think
Sure.
some of them lump
Um,
together because some of them are like a lot of them are the defenseman ones. They all kind of lump together.
to me, these are just the bet on upside deals, right? And we see this every year in free agency where teams are trying to believe that these guys will outplay the contract and they'll be steals, right? We've seen it work sometimes. Like I remember when Dallas signed John Klingberg the first time, not the time where he left in free agency. When Dallas signed John Klingberg the first time, they basically had one of the best offensive defensemen in hockey on like a steal of a deal because they signed him, they bridged him basically. And some of the bridge deals ends up as like amazing values and things you can kind of build your team around, right? Now there are times it works terribly, like Matthias Samuelsson in Buffalo. There are
Yes.
times it does not work, and now
You
you're
pay the guy long term. You just hope that you pay him like 4 something million and hope it works out. It just doesn't work out.
which is
you pay him
sad
long
because
term,
like it's
essentially.
$4 million and it's like a bomb contract, right?
Yeah, because you can't move that, especially with the length of the
Yeah.
contract. You can't move it.
Mm-hmm. So there are times it does and doesn't work out, and we see it in other sports as well, right? Like, and sometimes throughout the terms of the contract, it can also like fluctuate as well, right? Sometimes things seem like a steal early, maybe they're not later, and I think that's the theme followed with a lot of these deals. With all 3 of the defensemen, Hudson, Lacombe, Hughes, it's really about betting on the upside of these guys.
The only thing I'm surprised about is obviously given the timing of the deals, right? Like obviously Hughes was the first one to get signed. I am surprised that Hudson got a little bit less than Hughes, just because like Hughes hasn't really like.
Wait, we know why Luke Hughes got more. Okay?
No, but I'm just I think my point though is like why I'm surprised Hudson got less because Hudson signed after, so I thought maybe Hudson would have more. How do you say?
No, but I see what you mean.
But I thought he had more leverage. He's like, look, if this guy's getting fucking paid 9 and I've scored better, why can't I get 9.5? Like I'm just throwing a hypothetical there, right? Like we know why Hughes got paid, but I'm saying like why didn't Hudson get more?
So I'll say this: I love the Hudson deal for Montreal because again, there's already the safe floor of him being an elite puck moving. Like, well, I won't say elite, but like there is a floor that he's a really good puck moving defenseman who can control play at least within the offensive zone and a power play quarterback. Like, bear in mind, Shane Gostisbehere is just strictly a third pairing power play quarterback, and he's still getting what, like $5 million a year just to be that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Hudson getting 9 to be a first pairing elite offensive defenseman potentially and power play quarterback is insane. And then also, if you consider the fact that like if he goes through like say a Quinn Hughes type thing where he starts to shoot more, starts to be like he can still be a playmaker, but he's more driving offense for setting up others. There's a chance this deal could be a steal, right? And I like betting on guys who have already shown they can do certain offensive things at a high level. And again, when you watch Hudson skating, when you watch his playmaking, when you watch the way he can dive like into the zone and then move back out, I really like this deal. I like the Jackson Lacombe deal too, because I think Lacombe's obviously he's not as offensively good as Hudson, but he's better defensively already. And I think he's the more of the three. He's probably he's the most
well-rounded. So the most well-rounded guy out of the two. Like again, he doesn't have this. He's better defensively than the other guys, but he's like a little bit worse offensively than the other two, right?
Yeah.
But I think that offensive game can still take a leap, right? I still think he does have potential for it to take a leap. So
he's never gonna have Hudson's like skating and like that max playmaking, but he has a better shot so far, and there is the potential that like if he can become like a more like a hard shooting defenseman from the point who can do a little bit of playmaking and still play a good defensive game, there's a lot of value to that. And he's proven he can be a power play one first pairing defenseman, even in a tumultuous season, which last year, let's be real, last year was. And he did it under Cronin, which is impressive because like Cronin's like a nerf to everybody on a team. Right, so
yeah. Well, I was gonna joke. You see the difference now with Quenneville, right? They look like they're playing more fun and gun. Like they just look better offensively as a team.
Well, a lot of their players look better offensively, frankly, because
Leo Carlson,
Leo Carlson, Jackson Lacombe, like he looks better. Well, there's a lot of players that already are off, and while the overall numbers aren't amazing, it is a lot better, frankly. And then the one I'm the weird, like, I know, look, I get why they had to do it because, he is, like, I get it. The best player on your team is his brother. But, like, I'm not super high on the Luke Hughes one yet because I think that's a lot of money to give to a guy who hasn't shown he can be a first pairing or a power play one pairing defenseman with any consistency yet. And so I do kind of have issues with that, if that's fair.
But again, like you said, we know why he got paid. Like you can't troll him when his brother is freaking on the team, right? So he got paid because of that. I mean, he does have draft like pick pedigree. Like he was like I think he was a top 5 pick. I could be wrong. I think he was 4th in his draft year. I could be wrong again about that. Someone could fact check me on that in the comments. But like he has pedigree. Like I think he did put up, was it 43 points last year or 53? I don't remember exactly his production. Like again, I do like he does still have upside. It's just
for sure.
Again, like he hasn't quite shown it.
There is a notable downside from when like they took Dougie Hamilton off the power play, and you see a drop. Dougie Hamilton's just better, right? And it's like,
well, yeah, they actually have Hamilton back on power play one right now.
Yeah, so right, because again, there's a reason for it, right? And I get why you had to do it because again, the best player happens to be his brother, and like he's not a bad player, and there is the potential he grows into that contract, and it could just be hedge on him for when Hamilton, because Hamilton is getting older and he's a bit injury prone. But
Yeah.
it was the one, I'll just say, of the three, it was the one I liked the least because the other guys, even in the limited sample sizes they've all played, have just proven it more.
Yeah. No, I get you. Like, it's funny because it's actually funny because Hughes actually has played the most. I feel like has played more games out of the other two because Hughes essentially had 2 full seasons before that contract. I don't know if Lacombe had.
Yeah, because
Lacomb's
Hudson's rookie year was last year, and Lacombe played 2 years,
Spurts.
but he played less games. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right.
he's had his kind of like spurts, right? Like let me pull up
Mhm.
Lacombe. Actually, no, Lacomb's played a similar amount of games, 71 and 75. I think Hughes had 82 and 71. So like Hughes had slightly more games, but like even then, like Lacombe looked at least really good on a bad team, and Hughes kind of just like he was on a good team, but like he kind of just still looked kind of okay. I don't know if that's the right word to describe him. Like on a much better
No,
team, he kind of.
that's valid.
I mean, he had basically my point is like Lacombe put up similar production on a much worse team, whereas Hughes had like so much more talent around him, and like I think he actually had the same number. He had one more point than Lacombe, and Lacombe played like maybe 4 games more, but Lacombe with significantly less talent. But yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, overall, I think it's the one I like the least. But I understand they all fall under the same kind of idea, and to a different extent, Mason McTavish does too, right? Because they're projecting him to be like a 65-point second line center, and he shows potential. Like he shows potential to be a first line center.
like he shoots a ton, he hits a ton. Like he's very like he plays the game. Like he just plays the game at a very high level, right?
He plays
And I
like
think
a madman sometimes. If you ever watch
he is
him,
like
it's like
he
a
looks like he's about to
savage on
murder
the
someone.
ice, legit.
Dude,
yeah.
he's like sometimes I'm like, bro, he's gonna kill someone out there.
He's
The one thing I will say about Anaheim is
the Ducks are probably one of my low-key most fun watchers with some of the young players this year. When you watch McTavish and like the leap Carlson's taken and like a good.
Can I just say though, like
game.
they really got to take Kreider off the power play and just play McTavish there. Like I don't get why. Like I don't
think they gotta play
understand.
Seneke. Seneke's good too. I love Beckett Seneke.
They have the problem is they almost have two. Is it weird? They almost have too many guys to fit on power play one.
I think I think you just gotta kind of let it play out.
Because like like are you gonna because like out of the guys I'd see like you'd obviously Kreider got hurt, that's why he's not on. It's funny because McTavish took his spot on power play one I think tonight, but like obviously you have McTavish, Carlson, you're not taking off the power play, especially with how good Carlson's looked. Like is it, like the options are what, Terry and Granlund? Like would you take off because Seneke plays the left side, so like unless you want to shift McTavish to Terry's spot,
I think
Seneke.
Granlund's such an underrated passer. I don't know, it's tough because like
See,
Kreider
like,
has
do you see what I mean though?
There's
There's too many mouths to feed, so like you can't like you're gonna have somebody good on your power play too.
I think the thing with Kreider though is it's relatively like that's a move. I think it's relatively short term, and I don't know. I think at some point they move Terry for something as well, possibly. So I mean, I am kind of curious to see how it plays out, but overall, like, I think I just like I think all these deals are bet on upside, and again, we'll bite the bullet if maybe they underperform. It could go either way, who knows? But all these guys have shown a fair bit. Like I said, Hudson, Lacombe, I definitely like those deals. For the defenseman, I like those deals a bit more than Hughes. And the McTavish deal is solid because even if he's tops out as like a good second line center, I think that value carries in a cap. I think that value carries in a rising cap situation.
in the current cap situation. Plus, like if he does take that step, like it's a steal. It just becomes a steal at that point. I think there's 2 more, right? I think it's the 2 more I had was the Rossi one and the Nazar one, right? Like I think we like and this was
they kind of fall under the same umbrella, right? You're betting on upside, although it felt like the difference between
Rossi's less on upside. Rossi's less on upside because he's proven a bit more. Nazar, like that was his first full year, and they just they really are betting on the upside.
Versus Nazar one was weird because it felt like Chicago really wanted to sign Nazar, and it felt like Minnesota didn't want to sign Marco Rossi.
Yeah, because I think Guerin was looking to trade him too. I thought that was kind of stupid.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of stupid because it feels like why would you draft a guy top 10, play him in your top 60 somehow, and just be like, nah, we don't want to sign you. Like I don't know. It felt like really poor asset management on Minnesota's part to try to trade him.
My thing with Rossi that's just a little bit weird is when you watch him, he's like obviously the underside. Like I just don't know what his ceiling. Like maybe it is maybe his ceiling is second line 65 point guy.
But
It's
yeah,
just
like why not? But why not sign him though? Is my point. Like again, what they got him for, $5 million. Like $5 million is It's actually, I
that's
think it's
fair.
actually a steal
That's
for
fair.
that. Like why not just sign him? Like why would you?
Yeah.
Also, like what are you getting back in a trade that's gonna be like worth the same value?
Also,
Because
it's
you're
like,
not gonna
what's your weakness on the roster? Offensive
centers.
It's like,
You don't have
just trade the
centers.
only one
Play
we
the
have.
center.
That's
Like
a valid point.
you get my point, right? It
That's a
just feels like
valid
Minnesota's
point.
just being really
Yeah.
dumb. Like Garen, like thank God Garen, like at least smart and dumb was like, okay, at least I'll get, like, again, bridge deal's not great, but like at least he realized it was like, okay, we'll give you a bridge deal, because like if he traded him, I'd have been like, oh my god, let me get this straight. You have no centers. You have a guy that produces at a second line pace. He would have taken $5 million, which is still a steal, which I still think is a steal for a second line center. Yet you're like, nah, we don't want that.
No, yeah, 100% agree. Now that I think about it, you're right. Yeah,
Minnesota just
like,
they
I
just
was
sound
just-
like they just look
I
like
think
idiots.
I think sometimes with me, like I look at the flaws in a player, and like at the end of the day, you are right though. It's like at the end of the day, he's a second line center making $5 million on a team that's badly deprived of offense. That's a fair point.
Like why would you just not want him, right? Like I don't
Like,
know.
Nazar, again, because he never.
It's a
really
very big
played.
bet on upside, because he
Yeah,
has like
but-
the production's not there yet with him.
Man, I love Frank Nazar. He's a dog, and I will always be like, again, similar to McTavish. McTavish is a dog. Like all those guys like that, I will always be a fan of paying, especially in their early years, because the way they play, like I don't know what the aging curve is like. Again, talk about guys like Ryan Callahan as an example, but
He
guys
falls off
like
the cliff at
that,
a certain point, but
like guys
Yeah.
like that, the hustle, the physicality, the two-way play, especially in Nazar's case. Nazar already shows some defensive proclivity, which is nice. And like I feel like he's always gonna be at worst, he's gonna be a really good third line center at worst. And for
I
the
think so
amount
far
he
this
got,
year the productions look pretty good. That he looks like he could
Yeah.
even be a second line
exactly.
center.
I just mean like
He's not gonna be a
at
first line
worst-
because of Bedard, but yeah.
At worst, the way he plays, he'll always have a spot on the third line. At worst. And for the amount of money you're paying, and for the lack of salaries, honestly, the lack of like really long-term salaries you have, and the cap space you have, and the amount of
And the
cap
cap's
space
gonna
you have in
continue to go
Chicago,
up too.
love the
Yeah.
deal. I'm all in on, I'm all in on Frank Nazar. Just I know it's like a weird. I've only seen him play X amount of games, like a very small sample size, but like everything I see from him, I love.
I'm with you on that one. I think he's I like this year so far. He started pretty good too, right? Like feels like he's gonna have a breakout year this year, and I think that contract's gonna be well worth its value after this year. Funny enough, or at least
Watching
the first year of
him
that.
is like what I thought. I don't know how to explain this. This is gonna sound terrible.
Okay, just
but-
say it.
Watching him is what I thought Marco Casper would be.
Isn't it also worse too? Because isn't Nazar like a lot lower a pick than Casper too? Because Casper has like a top 10 pick, and Nazar's kind of like I don't.
When I watched Nazar, because when people talked about Marco Casper, I'm not a draft guy, right? When people talked about Marco Casper, when I watched Frank Nazar, I thought that's what Marco Casper was. I'm like, okay, I get it, right? But man, yeah, Frank Nazar, I am in on. Like you again, and like the crazy thing is, he does he does all of this at 5'10". Like the hustle and stuff at 5'10" is just awesome. I'm a fan.
What's with
Like,
Austrian?
us
What's with
5'10"
Austrian hockey players making us feel let down? First Rossi and now Casper.
Again, all us 5'10" and a half boys, I gotta stick up for him too. So
That's fair. Unfortunately, I'm not in that bracket with you, but I'm close enough.
who's the best Austrian player? It's still probably Vanek, right? I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's not in the league anymore. But who's the best current one in the league? Would it have to be Rossi by default, or
Yeah, 100%.
wait, who is even Austrian? Hold on, let's see. I got to make sure
Like,
because again, they
it's
don't
like-
have very many.
What, him and Burakovsky?
Austria national. I'm just gonna pull up their like national hockey
Oh,
team.
okay.
Yeah, Casper played for their thing. Rossi's. Yeah, I'm just trying to see. Oh goodness gracious. Yeah, all their guys. Yeah, they don't have any. Yeah, like I think it's literally between. It is literally between. Yeah, it's probably Rossi. We'll go with Rossi.
Okay, all right, sure.
At least current
Alright.
one. I think Vanek is probably the best all time for sure.
Mhm. All right. So I think that's all we got for contracts.
Yep, and I think that we have two more things we want to talk about, right? There's
Yeah,
just some
so-
two observations. Yeah.
One thing we're going to say is I don't like overreacting to early season stuff. And I say this with fantasy hockey, and we'll talk about it. We're going to do a fantasy hockey podcast for our next one, where we'll kind of talk about like our just early season stock up, stock downs, things to take notice of. And I don't like overreacting to things in very small sample sizes because it is a long year. I think it's 84 games now too, so it's even longer. It's
Wait, it's 84 now.
Isn't it? Or is that next year?
I thought it's always 82, but I could be wrong.
They changed it, I think. It's either going to be this year or next year where they're going to start playing 84, if I remember correctly.
84 next year. It's next year. Sorry, yeah.
Next year. Okay, sorry.
I thought it was next year too. I was like, wait.
So they're
did
going to
change
make
for
it
this
even
year?
longer. So I'm
Yeah,
not
great.
overreacting to, again, these small sample sizes. But I think there are some things you can kind of take notice of that if they're trends from last year that carry on, or if they're things that kind of affirm early season thoughts, I think there's some things we should mention. So there are two I have in mind, and they're not good things, unfortunately. So the first one I think we want to talk about is, we talked about this in our fantasy preview, we talked about this in our off-season preview, is how much of an impact will Rick Tocchet's coaching have on the Flyers? Because if you look at the history of Rick Tocchet, regardless of the team's talent he's had, he always has an insistence on and a continuance on low event hockey. Now, I've looked at the numbers even from when he was in Arizona, right? So he was the coach for 5 seasons there, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 5.
Five.
Sorry, let me check.
Close. 4 or 5. Yeah.
4 seasons, right? And I looked up the numbers quickly. So it was last year in Arizona, right? Sorry, just pulling this up here. So they were just, and this is just base level numbers, right? They were 29th in shots for, and they were 28th in expected goals for. Now, you might say, hey, SJ, like, Arizona didn't have a lot of talent. And, like, sure, that's an argument you can make, but they still had guys like Nick Schmaltz, Clayton Keller, Connor Garland, and I know these guys were younger, but like younger Jakub Chychrun and stuff like that. And so it wasn't like these guys, they were completely offensively deprived. It's not like we're watching like the Calgary Flames this year, right? And if I go back the year before that, again, Rick Tocchet, if I pull up these numbers on the Coyotes here, one moment. So if you look at the numbers from the 2019-2020 season, sorry, one sec.
Was that the bubble year where they snuck in the playoff? I'm sure that was the bubble year they snuck in the playoffs too.
That year, they weren't okay. So that year, again, the games played a little bit lower, but 13th in shots for, expected goals for, and 19th. So this is like the peak right now. If we go back the year before that, they were, let's see here. So it's just weird trying to find Arizona now, because again, they were 20th in shots for and 26th in expected goals for. So again, a history of low event hockey. Now you might say, hey, these teams weren't that talented. And I'll say, okay, you can make that argument and that's fine. Now let's move to when he was the coach of the Canucks, right?
Canucks, when they actually had talent with Pettersson, Hughes, Besser. Like they have, there's actual offensive talent there.
We'll start with 2023, 2024, right? Shots on goal, they were 26th. Expected goals for, they were, let me pull this up here, 17th, right? And again, that's on a team with Pettersson, Hughes, Besser, Garland, etc. And if you remember, they did good. They made the playoffs that year, right? They lost in, they lost in the second round 4-3
to the Oilers.
But
to the Oilers
again, low event hockey, right? And if we go to the next year after that,
which I think you're talking about, was that last year essentially?
Yeah, last year, 31st in shots for, and expected goals for 28. And I know and I know Pettersson had Downey, but this all just paints a trend that Rick Tocchet always and is consistently done low event hockey, which can work, I think, on teams that are like those older teams
talent
that don't
deprived.
have a lot
Well, I think
of talent.
again, teams that are talent deprived. Yeah, talent deprived
And
teams
not-
or like veteran teams.
and not trying to develop young players. So I was curious on a team that is rebuilding. They just drafted Porter Martone. Where we talked about this in our offseason preview, the primary objective of the Flyers should be we want to develop Michkov. We want to see what we have in Zegras. We want to see what we have in Drysdale, York, and to a lesser extent, Sanheim. And like we just want to develop these young guys and then ideally see what we can do to maximize them, right? And like there's different coaches at different stages of development. Like I think, for example, when Stars had Lindy Ruff as their coach, when they had young Tyler Seguin and young Jamie Benn, was it a very fun and gun system? Absolutely, right? But at the time, it was about maximizing those guys, and they did that job, right? And I think there's different coaches that are needed at those different times. Like, again, Andre Turigny with the Mammoth, Warsofsky right now with the Sharks, right? It's, again, just you understand that the goal is to develop and maximize the talents of young guys, so you play systems that kind of fit that, right?
Unfortunately, with Tocchet, I was saying,
funnily enough, early in the year, even Lane Lambert, who was much maligned in New York, is at least trying to make the Kraken offense look more aesthetically appealing. But Tocchet early in the season, and yes, I know people are going to say they're 3-2-1, and it's early in the year, but that low event hockey has continued, right? You look at it.
So they're 30. I think they're 31st in shots, like 31st in shots on goal in the league, right? So again, they don't generate a lot of shots.
It's not even that. It's you look at these individual games, 20 shots, 23, 22, 17, 21, 27. They haven't shot over 30 times in one game this year yet. One game. And not only that, Zegras is now, if I remember correctly, he's on the third line as a winger, if I remember correctly. And Matvei Michkov has been benched in third periods. He's had his minutes cut.
Yeah, they have Michkov and Zegras on the third line now, I think, together with Christian Dvorak. So that's why I see it here. And they've moved your boy Owen Tippett in fantasy up to line 1.
So
don't know if you care enough about that, but
my point is I was curious why they made this signing of him as a coach outside of the nostalgia and people, he did the interview on Spitting Chicklets, I think it was, where he talked about changing it up. And maybe that gave people hope. And I do believe in coaches being able to change and adjust. Hence, why I'm a little bit more bullish on Glenn Gulutzan with the Stars. But right now, the way this is trending, it seems like
hasn't looked like it changed one bit at all.
He hasn't changed. Yeah, he hasn't changed what he like. I just don't understand if this is what it's going to be. And I get John Tortorella didn't want to stick around for rebuild, but like John Tortorella's system was better. And I don't understand what the plan is here. If Rick Tocchet the plan is to like finish out of the playoffs but close, get like a pick that's in the 10 to 12 range instead of near the top, and again have Trevor Zegras and Matvei Michkov like just on again not maximizing what you can with those guys. I just don't understand it. And people can say the argument of, oh, well, Bobby Brink and his line have played really well, so, they should get more minutes. It's like, okay, if that's the argument, can someone tell me why Jamie Drysdale still plays the power play and they haven't tried anybody else on the power play? Like anybody else, they haven't tried.
Well, I was going to joke. They still have Drysdale in the top 4, let alone like top 4 in their top 4 defense, let alone like just being on power play 1, 2, right? So it's like if the argument that you mentioned is basically, well, the better players should get more minutes, then why the fuck is one of the worst defensemen on their team getting
not to mention
minutes?
Travis Konechny hasn't adapted to the system either. Like he's played terribly so far to start the year, but
and he still gets first line minutes, first power play minutes.
So to me, for what the Flyers are supposed to do, which is, I don't want to say tank, but basically like develop your young guys and essentially like ideally get top 3, top 5.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but like the young guys too, right? They haven't even like done that because, like, for example, Jet Luchenko was one of their first, like, I think one of their like higher end or higher ish picks. Like, I think he was a first rounder. They've scratched him a few times too. So it's like what like what do you gain from like obviously you're trying to develop your young guys, but what do you gain from just like scratching him like multiple times, right? Like Luchenko's like a 13th overall pick, so like again, like essentially a lottery pick, and you're just like scratching him multiple times. Like again, it makes sense that you scratch him once just to get him in the press box to kind of watch and stuff, but like scratching him multiple games isn't going to help his development.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where it's it's an at odds with what this team should be doing. Again, developing young talent, getting high draft picks. What San Jose, what Chicago, what all these teams that are what rebuilding teams should be doing. Like what Rick Tocchet, the way they're playing is the complete opposite. It's low event hockey. It's stifling the offensive creativity of these young guys, and it's again, yes, will they win more games? Absolutely. Like I'm not going to pretend they won't, but that shouldn't be the goal of the Flyers. The goal shouldn't be to finish between like 10th and 12th worst and miss out on potential top picks, because that's not how you
or
get
even in their
better.
case, it shouldn't be like it shouldn't be play the best possible hockey to try to squeeze in the playoffs. It really should, like, because at this point they continue to play the way they can. Maybe by sheer luck they squeeze in. Like they're the last team that makes it in and gets their. But you don't want to be the last team that makes it in and gets their ass kicked, because like you're just not going to progress, right? Like your team will just be kind of stuck in that like stagnant spot where they're not good enough to like have a good playoff run, but they're also not like bad enough to get elite players and get better, right? So like if you're talking, like your goal should be to like you should see what you have in your young guys, not stifle them and play your veterans and just
open up the chances and open up and again, if it means you have to give up more chances on the back end, fine. But it shouldn't be stifling the creativity. And people can say Michkov hasn't earned it, etc. Look, young guys are going to go through growing pains.
Well, I think with the Michkov thing too, I did hear he did kind of come into camp a little bit out of shape and a little bit overweight. So like if those rumors are true, I'm not as mad about the Michkov thing from the talker perspective, because like again, as a coach, like as an athlete, your number one thing is to be in fucking shape. So if those ones are true, I'm okay with that one. That one I'm okay with. The Luchenko one I'm a little bit miffed about, because again, higher end pick.
I also don't get the Zegras one, because outside of Martone, he's the only Martone coming and playing center. He's the only guy in the organization that has a potential number one or number two center upside, and right now he's playing wing for Christian Dvorak. Doesn't make sense. And again, like this is basically like this type of blendering and like this type of moving guys around and whatnot. Like this was just basically John Tortorella, but John Tortorella at least had a more aesthetic system. This isn't that.
And not only that,
honestly,
not only aesthetic system,
coach.
but like he got production out of his younger. Like he's got some stuff out of Michkov, right? He was able to not maximize Michkov, but he got something. We saw something out of Michkov, right? At least, and this year so far, we've seen jack shit out of him.
Him
and
same thing with Konechny, right?
And Konechny too, right? I was going to forget him, but essentially they at least got production out of some of their better players. They're getting nothing out of some of their guys at this point. I don't know how Tippett's been for you, because you have him in fantasy. I don't know if you can speak on even Tippett.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have any Flyers. I was just out. I have later.
Oh, I thought you took Tippett.
No.
Okay.
I have later, who is again the one guy where it's like in low event hockey, the goalies work the best. But
yeah,
I'm just not. Again, I don't understand. And just to tie this all in a bow, for where the Flyers want to go organizationally and what they should be doing, the way Rick Tocchet's coaching this team just doesn't make sense. And I'm just I think that's the only way I can leave it. And again, I think first is a trend. I would say this. I have a saying, and I stick by it. First is a trend. Second is a First is a fluke. Second's a coincidence. Third's a trend. And this is the third team.
So again, I think at this point we're essentially saying that we're leaning towards Rick Tocchet, is going to continue with his low event hockey, and that he's not going to change. I think that's kind of where we're going at this point.
And we hope Tigers change their, they're saying a Tiger don't change its stripe. Definitely not in this case. And another thing just to point out as well, even the Flyers subreddit is talking about this, because I was pulling this up on, so the Flyers subreddit posted this. It's regarding, so Talking Hockey is even talking about this, where they've noticed this as well. So I'm just going to pull this up here. So it's their analysis of See, so they were talking about the Matvey Michkov conversation where it says here, again, Michkov's been neutered. It mentions he's playing 13 and 14 minutes. Coach keeps talking about how he needs to play, again,
More north
play
style, like,
north than
kinda
all
like,
the top players do. And then they mentioned, I don't know how you can watch Kucherov, Draisaitl, all these guys that come to the conclusion is that he needs to play downhill, whereas Michkov's more of a side-to-side guy. That's his strength. And then they talked about this, and I agree with this, is bringing in Talkit to coach a young rebuilding team is a massive mistake on the part of management. And then they'd mention, and it's kind of funny because I was thinking of Clayton Keller specifically, but I forgot about all the other guys that were on the team at this time too. Like, he took a team with young players who never basically reached their true potential. Strome, Dvorak, Domi, Chychrun, Fisher, Perlini, and more. None of them hit their true potential under Talkit, and some never made it on the way back. And I just thought of Keller because if you remember, Keller had that really good rookie year, and then
he
never hit that again. And we were just like, okay, how good is this guy? And then as soon as Rick Talkit leaves, he's a near point per game. Chychrun
point per game, point per game player.
Yeah,
and Chychrun had that one decent year in Arizona, and then like he kind of faded. He got traded. And now he looks really good in Washington, right?
Yeah.
Like even to the point where he sometimes gets on power play one for them.
And like
even
Dylan Strome, we don't need to talk about his rejuvenation ever since he left Arizona. Period. Right? Like even say what you want. Obviously, he's been really good in Washington, but even Chicago, he at least showed he could be something compared to when we thought he was a bust in his time in Arizona. And then they also mentioned this here. Yeah, I talk about this, like the idea of focusing on player strengths and development so they can become elite at those specific skill sets, right? And again, he just sticks to a system, and you have to fit the system versus adjusting it to your players, which is another problem.
Well, that's one thing I'll talk about being a good coach is like I think one of the good things, like again, like some of the best coaches in the league or some of the better coaches in the league. I'll even point out someone like Dina Vason, for example, right? Like, again, he played a very defensive system in Minnesota because that was the kind of system they needed, right? Because they didn't have a lot of good offensive players. Like Capri, it was kind of like very first line heavy, and then the rest of their three lines weren't very offensively inclined, right? But like you saw when he went to Columbus, for example, instead of playing a defensive system, he realized, hey, I have all these young like offensive players. Like, why don't I just play like more fun and gun? Because I'm gonna maximize their strengths, and I'm gonna use their strengths to kind of help with the team. And like you saw how much he got out of Werenski, because Werenski went from like a 50, 60 point guy to like Norris, like essentially Norris caliber. And then you saw a lot of their young guys. Like Marchenko broke out. Monahan went back to his point per game self. Like there were so many.
Even Ken Johnson played so much better than he ever did prior. Which again, there were guys I was like, "What's the point of these guys?" And all of a sudden.
But again, that's an example of your coach should be maximizing the strengths of your players, and he shouldn't be trying to fit a system to the player. He shouldn't be trying to fit like a system to the players. He's kind of like mold his system. Like he should mold this, like essentially should mold the system to what he has available.
And I think a good example of this is Jared Bednar too, right? When you watch all three of Colorado's lines, they play very differently, right? Like McKinnon, it's all speed, it's breaking the zone, it's again hitting it hard, and it's like that. It is very, don't get me wrong, it's very east-west, but it's with a lot more speed and pace. You watch Brock Nelson's line, it's a lot more methodical, the way they enter the zone and stuff like that, but it's not conforming to one way. It's adjusting to the players you have, right? And I think even John Cooper kind of does the same thing with his lines. Like the way the Cirelli line plays is very different than the way Kucherov plays. And again, he mitigates for, some of the defensive laps as well, understanding what Kucherov's, like adjusting to the limitations and focusing just on what can this player do well versus what do I need them to do? What can this player do well versus like I need them to fit my system. So what do they need to fix? Right. And those are two different things. And another thing they were mentioning is this is kind of interesting. So it's Clayton Keller's net rating, a guy who is also a very good side to side player. And I didn't know it was this bad, but it's kind of funny. So these were the Rick Tocchet years.
Yeah, bad.
And these are the post Rick Tocchet years.
What a shocker, right? What a shocker indeed.
And it's kind of interesting because again, the offensive rating. It's funny too because the defensive rating's gone up as well. Not a great defensive player, but like it is interesting. But the offensive rating again, the the with Tocchet without Tocchet is startling. And I think it's one of those things where I just don't understand why again, it just seems like such a mismatch for what the organization should do versus what they're doing right now. And I don't know how you fix that because like Rick Tocchet hasn't shown in 3 different stops that it's something he's gonna change.
Is it weird to say I would have rather like a Bruce Boudreau, like kind of like bring in one of those guys, let the guys play and just let them figure their shit out. It's kind of sad that it's come to that. I'd rather have that kind of guy than like a Rick Tocchet. Don't get me wrong, like Rick Tocchet I think can still be a decent-ish coach. He's just not the kind of coach you need for this team. That's the problem.
Like I think he'd be okay again if Pittsburgh wasn't focused on rebuilding, and like turning up the roster and stuff, and they just wanted to try to eke out as much as possible with
with Crosby and like Crosby, Letang, and like Malkin. Try to maximize the window while they still have a chance. Yeah,
like Rick Tocchet would fit that, but it's just not. It doesn't fit a young roster, and we've seen this time and time again. And it's just at this point, like I said. 1 is a fluke, 2 is coincidence, 3 is a trend. We are at a trend right now, so far. And that's why I had to mention
Flyers fans.
That's why I had to mention it, because it's not something I want to see. Because again, I want to see young players do well, and it's veering that it might not be that way. And my second observation, another negative one here. Calgary is tracking to be the worst TV watch in the league by far. Like, this is a dumpster fire offensively. I know the defense looks really bad, and Dustin Wolf is off to a shaky start. That's one thing. Like, I don't know how that.
Yeah, but their offense is just downright putrid.
Their offense is just
what? They have 11 goals in 7 games to start. Like that is like they're not scoring more than a goal.
And it's not puck luck. Like this is a horrible watch.
Yeah, like they're 5th in scoring chances for and 17th in high danger chances for. So it's not like they're not generating, like they're middle of the league, at least in high danger chances for, and like they're generating a decent amount of scoring chances. The problem is like they don't have the talent up like offensively to kind of convert those, right? They're just not
frighteningly bad, and I'm surprised. Like, and I don't know what. Yeah, the thing is, you watch these games, they're not like the chance generation is so sporadic. There was a game they played against Winnipeg, I want to say, where Hellebuck was playing. And I remember making the joke, I think, not Winnipeg, was it Vancouver, I think, where they had 18 shots? And I remember making the joke to you of like, I remember midway through the second, I was like, do you think they cracked 20 at any point? And you were like,
no.
Yeah, no. And they didn't, right? And don't get me wrong, like they played.
It's funny
really
though because it feels weird that like at 5-on-5 they're still fifth for score. I thought it's kind of weird they're still 5th for scoring chances for. I don't know how that's a little bit different, but
the thing is they haven't. And this is gonna be a little bit misleading because they hit 29 shots twice, but they've only cracked 30 shots once this whole.
So it's kind of skewed towards a few of the games. Essentially, is what happened.
Right.
Like some of the games they hit 30-30. It's like 30-30. Like again, okay. So for example, let's say you have 4-game sample size, right? Let's say like this team does 20, 20, 20, 20 to, to average 20, right? Whereas somebody else does, let's say 30, 30, 10, and 10. Like both of those still average out to 20, but then like, 2 of those games were significantly worse than the other 2, right?
But
like something like that.
It's just such a tough watch because even with the chances, there's just not enough talent to convert these chances. Like it's a really tough watch right now. Like there's not enough playmaking outside of Kadri on the centers. The wings just aren't good enough. And like it's weird because it's a mismatch of wing versus center. Like I'd like to at least see Coronado with Kadri maybe. But right now they don't have him there. And they have like
Coronado. They have Farabee with Kadri. And then they have fucking Blake Coleman on the second line. Like I'm sorry, Blake Coleman is like your third line kind of player. Like again, you shouldn't have him that far up the lineup.
Right. But my thing is like Coronado playing with Backlund right now, who hasn't been that good. Like Kadri's playing with Farabee right now. It's a mismatch there. The defense just hasn't been producing much. I'd like to at least see them try Zane Parekh at power play just to get some offense going because there's just not enough talent to put any chances to put home these chances. And it's a trend of last year where Calgary was one of the worst offensive teams in the league last year, but it wasn't because they weren't generating chances. It was because they just don't have any
talent.
finishing. And it's
And like the reason why Calgary did so well last year was because like their defense and their goaltending kind of kept them in so many games, right? And you're starting to see like what happens if it doesn't keep them in the game, and now it's starting to rear its ugly head, right? Like Wolf hasn't been great to start,
like
their defense hasn't been good, and then again the offense has been the exact same, where they just can't seem to score goals no matter what.
yeah, like Calgary last year was 7th in shots for, again, 20th in expected goals for, and if I remember correctly, 12th in high danger chances for. Like they're not a team that's not generating enough chances. You understand why they're scoring. This isn't Rick Tocchet hockey. This is like, we're trying, but we can't convert. And it was tough to watch last year, and it's even tougher to watch this year because right now, the defense is off to a really rocky start because they're leaking shots and high danger chances left and right. Because even those games where they're putting up a lot of shots, like I'll go over their game log here quickly. Just one moment. If I go over their game log here quickly, like again, even the game where they put up 33 shots, they gave up 28. Like the first game of the season, even though they beat Edmonton, they gave up 35 shots and only put up 22. Vancouver, they were outshot 26-18. Vegas outshot 30-29, but still closer. So even though in the games they are getting chances, they're giving up just as many the other way, and it's not looking good. And it's a tough watch because if you're not converting chances and you don't have the talent to do that, and you're also leaking chances left and right, and Dustin Wolf's also been off to a slow start. I think he's last in goal save above expected right now. You combine all of this, it is like the toughest watch in the league. Now, do I think it can get better? Yes, I think the defense isn't this bad. I think it should, kind of come back
and
up.
And Wolf shouldn't be this bad either. I think that's the other thing
exactly.
I'm thinking
And
about too. Like,
I do think at some point Zane Peric, they should just try him on the first power play just to generate like a little bit more offense. But it's continuing a trend from last year where they're generating chances, but there's just not enough finishing on anywhere on this roster really, except Matt Coronado on the wings. And there's not enough center. There's really not enough center scoring outside of Kadri that it's just a hard watch. Like you watch this, it's not fun to watch.
Maybe if it continues to be this bad, it's not that much of a bad thing, right? Maybe they get a high enough draft pick. Maybe just give McKenna. Maybe that at least fixes part of the problem. Like not fixes part of it.
Like if that's helps. The play, if that's the plan, great.
I respect that.
Like that's the plan, great, because this is by far the most unwatchable team offensively in the league, and it felt that way last year too. There were so many games I watched where I remember it was like breaking 20 shots sometimes was like a miracle. And even the
like I said, I always reference that game where we were at Montana. It was the Florida. I think it was Calgary, Florida. Florida was the home team. I think Florida had like 28 shots and Calgary had like 8. And I'm like, hey, dude, look at the screen. You were like, what the fuck when you saw that?
It was still like
there's
2-1 somehow. It was
like 2-0. But yeah.
But even the games where they're generating shots, again, it's just they don't have the talent.
Leaking shots, yeah. They're also leaking shots back too, which doesn't help. And
So,
Wolf has been ass, which doesn't help.
Like those are my 2 early season observations. It's Rick Tocchet and this continuance on low event hockey that does not make sense with what the Flyers are trying to do, I think. And again, Calgary just being unwatchable offensively for the second year in a row.
I'm not surprised. I think we knew about the Calgary one. The Tocchet one,
okay.
I was curious about that one because that one,
the Isles are a better watch.
Yeah, the Tocchet one I was curious about just because, like, again, I was wondering if, again, like you're saying, said like his first time's like a fluke, second time's coincidence. Would there be a third time? I mean, so far in 6 games, it looks like it's a trend, so a little bit scary there. But at least with the Calgary one, we kind of figured after what we saw last year and the lack of moves they made, right? That we kind of figured they would be bad offensively, and I think that one's been proven right.
I wonder if this is like if it is stealth tanking for Gavin McKenna, great. I'm just telling you, this is like the most unwatchable offense in terms of finishing. And again, it was this last year. It looks like it's going to be the same this year. It might actually be worse somehow.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, I think it's actually worse too because like they're actually playing guys like Coleman up further up their lineup than they should, right? And I think at least last year they didn't have that problem. I think this year they're playing so many guys further up that they shouldn't. That
dude,
it might actually
Joel Farabee, like you said, Joel Farabee's playing first line right wing, man. Like
he shouldn't be there. Like, I'm surprised they haven't just moved Coronado up to the first line. They haven't just tried Perek at PB1. Like, those seem like the two most obvious like solutions. Like, even we're not casual hockey fans, but like we're not NHL coaches, right? But even we're like, why don't we just try that and see what the fuck happens?
Yeah,
Like, is it weird that
like outside of the Stuart Skinner breakdown game, first game of the year, they haven't scored more than 2 goals the entire and they played 7 games. You know how hard it is to score 2 goals or less in 6 straight games.
I'm not gonna lie, it might be worth it for the Flames to put us 2 behind the bench at this point.
Like, you know how hard that is? It's hard in today's NHL. Like, it's
yeah, I don't know. At this point, I was gonna joke like we should be behind the bench for the Flames at this point. But at least let us try stupid shit. Our stupid shit would probably at least like or no, it's not even stupid shit. But at least our shit would like make it more entertaining. Maybe this team might actually get better offensively.
I mean, it doesn't take much at this point. It doesn't take.
Like, I don't know, we've already proposed moving Perek to PP1 and like, you know, Coronado up to the first line. I would say my other move is maybe just like, honestly, like I'd even just move like Connor Zary up lineup too, like instead of Farabee, even like smaller changes like that.
Overall, like anything else, I'm trying hard not to overreact. Like, teams are off to slow starts, like Tampa.
A lot of the other things I've noticed, like they are like kind of bad luck based. Like the Rangers, like with their like obviously they just scored their first goal on home ice like yesterday, I think. But again, like we knew that's kind of like a more of an unlucky, like bad puck luck. Like that was going to change. Like even though they only scored 1 that game, like they scored, so they are still struggling to score. I think the statistics do show that that's supposed to just turn around. So yeah, maybe in another 10 or so games, we'll see if that's changed. And then I guess maybe Buffalo's looked a lot better, but I don't know. But with who they've played so far, I don't know if that's enough to make a judgment. Like it is a decimated Florida team that they beat. Which, I mean, it's still Florida's, which is still decent. But
just to give you an example, the Blue Jackets are 29th in goals for, 6th in goals against. I don't think that's going to continue.
That should flip flop the other way around. I think because
just for the record, I don't think that's going to continue. And then there's teams are off to slow starts because some teams are transitioning. Like Dallas, new coach, a bit off to a slow start. Even Utah was off to a bit of a slow scoring start initially as well. They picked it up recently. And then again,
I was gonna say even individual player trends. I was gonna point out, like for example, Dorofeyev's not gonna shoot 33% for the rest of the year. Like yes, he has. He has 3 shots on goal a game. Yeah,
I don't know if McDavid scored today. I didn't check, but McDavid's not gonna go goalless. You know, for like the rest of the year, kind of thing. So
also, like all jokes like Draisaitl's not gonna be a 0.83 point per game player for this year. Like there's no way in hell you're talking like that too. Like, there's too many, like, weird things that happen early in the year.
So, it's one of those things where I'm not I'm not panicking on anything like that. Like I said, we still have 82 games. And, again, I'm not...
Well, 76.
Not trying to overreact to those, these 6-game sample sizes, because that's what almost basically less than 1/12 of the year. So
it's not even a tenth. That's not even a tenth of the year.
It's not even 12th. The 12th would be 72. But
yeah,
again, I think these two things are just trends.
It's not even it's not even a 13th because the 13th would be 78.
78. Yeah, good point. Fair enough. That's why you're my quantitative.
I was gonna joke if we had 84 this year, it would be a 14th because 6 games would be a 14th. But yeah, anyways. Away from the math.
But I think these two things are just things to highlight as trends we've seen either from previous stops or the year before, and it's definitely something I think you should be concerned about if you're a fan of both the Flyers and Flames.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think these were the ones we kind of had bad feelings about going into the year, but then they've kind of been they've kind of gotten confirmed to us as, even though it's only been 6 games, we've kind of confirmed it through the 6 games.
Right? I've always never been a believer. Like, I thought Rick Tocchet kind of changed a bit that one year, but then I realized he was just kind of riding the Quinn Hughes, Pettersson. Like, when I started to look at the advanced numbers more of that Vancouver year, it's like, okay, cool. Like, they just out-talented the low event hockey. But I've never been super high on Rick Tocchet personally. So I thought maybe at certain points it was just my own biases clouding it. But yeah, like that. And then Calgary, like, again, just watch a Flames game. Like, you'll see what I mean. Just
at this point, I'm not going to lie. If I had Flames tickets, I'd rather just not go.
How much could you sell? Like, again, like Calgary's not Toronto where people will come regardless. Like, how much could you sell Flames tickets for on the market that someone would buy them? Unless it was like to see a premier player.
I don't know. Because
Let's
like
see.
I'm
Like,
thinking,
how much can we get Calgary Flames tickets for? Let's pull this up here. I am
Yeah.
curious.
also apologies if my
Flames.
video camera quality's gone down a bit. I'm not sure what's going on with the video cam, but hopefully that will get improved with the next one. I think it's just gone down a little bit as of like this
You
last
can
couple
buy
of seconds.
tickets off NHL.com. Interesting.
Wait, that's the thing? Really?
Yeah. Okay, let's pick a team. Okay, Toronto would. That's at Scotiabank Arena. Let's go home. Let's see. All games, home games. This is Ticketmaster, so there's probably like $100 in fees as well. Spare that. Okay.
Struggles of
What's a
struggles of
star-
being a Canadian hockey fan.
Let's pick the Rangers. I think that's a marquee team. Let's see here.
So the range. Oh, that's the next game. Yes. Okay. Find your tickets on a Sunday, which is a bit of a weirder day too. Sunday's a bit of a weirder day as well because like that's like a. Okay, so
Okay.
let's go section 110.
You can
resale.
get tickets for. You can get 227.
I have
Okay.
220 for mine, and I'm in mine is in section 110 row 8 seats 11.
Okay.
Or
So if you don't want to sit 103, which is fine, but like if you do 212, you can do 150, which is pretty good. But like you can go 109 for like, let's see, you can go section 109 for
well, I'm looking at it.
35.48.
Well, I'm looking at section 121 seats 7 and 8, and that's like right against the that's like right at the glass, and that's like 359 or 360 essentially per ticket. It's 305 plus 54 in fucking fees.
The fees.
The fees is literally about one. Let me think. Wow, it is literally about a fifth of the ticket.
Oh, here, let me share this one here. One sec. So hold on. So I was looking at like right here where if you notice, so that's 319, but right behind them, 235.48. And look where you're at. Look.
Yo, I'd yoink those tickets, man. Sadly, the Toronto Maple Leafs tickets are super expensive.
No, right. So I guess they are resellable technically, but like again, how much value are you really getting from them? Let's look at some of these other teams. Let's see Dallas.
Here, let me pull Leaf tickets. Let me just pull Leaf tickets from one of the other games here. Let's choose what's a marquee matchup. Actually, I'll just pick
Why is
Montreal because like
Dallas being
the
more
rivals.
expensive is than the Rangers is interesting.
Here, let's pick. Okay, so yeah, let's go section 101. Yeah, for example, section 101. Wait, what section did you have yours in?
This was the before it was like 109. But like interestingly enough, and people are like, what, 230 for a regular season game is like insanity. You don't understand, like in Canadian markets, this is cheap.
Oh yeah, here's the Leafs one. The Leafs one in section 109, section 109, row 14, seats 11 and 12 is 1,517 per ticket.
Yeah, that's the Leafs though.
I know.
That's
My point
probably-
is like
They're trying to sell those to Toronto fans, right? That's always different.
yeah.
Let's pick.
But yeah,
okay,
I
let
guess
me pick
Flames
another.
tickets. I guess technically you could get.
Okay, let's pick
technically,
the Penguins, just because Crosby. That's always like a big. All right, let's do some numbers here. 460, okay. 330, 413.
Wait, question with the 430 versus the 331 in the same row, or I guess they're like one row behind. Is that mainly because the ones are in the middle there, and like the end of the rows are probably worth more? Okay,
Yeah, but
end of the rows worth
So,
more. Gotcha.
okay.
Okay.
so just so we're clear, you can sell your tickets for decent value because it's the Canadian market. But I will say it's definitely not like. Let's change teams for a second. Let's pick a different team here. Let's pick.
Want to pick the Oilers?
Oh no,
Or
dude!
yeah,
Tyler, my friend Tyler lives in Edmonton. But yeah, okay, we can do it. Eastern, Western.
Or do you want a non-Canadian team or non-Canadian team? Is that better? Here, just pick Seattle for the memes.
No, because Seattle, those tickets are always gonna be cheaper. I was talking about like what it looks like in Canadian markets. Let's pick. What's a bad?
Just do Montreal. Just do Montreal.
I'm just okay. Let me just let's just see Toronto for the jokes. Let's just.
Dude, I told
Sorry,
you
Toronto-
they're bad. They're like 1,000,
Okay.
bro, and like
Like let's just compare here. So let's pick Toronto versus Calgary at Scotiabank Arena. Hey, right? One of the worst teams to watch. Let's pull these up. I agree. All right, what do we got? Standing room only for $108. So if you want to stand, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to stand here,
and have a shitty
wait,
ass
hold
view.
on. To stand in the arena is $216, including taxes and fees, just to get the right to stand in the arena.
Here,
Now
let's click. Yeah, click on like 119. Trust me. Yeah, click on
$512 to watch the Flames.
Okay, so it does matter about the match because I think I found similar stuff for the
Right behind $1,084 to watch the Flames.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, that's $1,000 per ticket. That's not $1,000 for
Exactly.
per ticket.
Exactly.
So to put that in perspective for the people, just so they know, that's bad.
Man, now let's look at. Let's just pull up one more team here. Let's do Montreal. Montreal's a good team, but they're not an amazing. Ottawa tickets are always cheap. I know that for sure.
For context, SJ here went to Ottawa for law.
It's also because Ottawa's tickets, like Ottawa's arena, isn't downtown. It's in basically a suburb, right? Canada.
Okay, I always forgot about that part. Again, I don't live in Ottawa, so I haven't been in Ottawa very much.
It's a pain. You have to you can't really take public transit. You can take a shuttle, but you have to like drive. I was lucky my friend Tyler always had his car back then because he
shout out to Tyler.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler. No, I always tell him I'm so thankful because there's no way. I remember, there was one time we went to the Sens Avs home opener because one of our Tyler's brothers, Nolan, is an Avs fan, and this was when Matt Duchene was still on the team? Might have been, but anyway,
probably might have been. Yeah.
We took an Uber initially or a cab to get down to the game to from the bar we were at. But there was no way because we couldn't take public transit, there was no way for the cab to get the whole way. So he told us it was faster for us to walk. So we had to walk an extra 20 minutes and we missed part of the first period because there's no conceivable way to get there unless you're driving. And then because around the time the game starts is when everyone gets off work and it's all government workers primarily. So the traffic is just, you can't move either way. So it's one of the worst situations in the league in terms of where the arena is situated.
Did not know that. Okay, again, here let's go. Just pick.
All right, let's pick a random game here. Let's say Bruins. The Bruins suck, but this should always be a rivalry game. Original six. Okay, let's see. 330 for 270. Where's 330? Oh dear lord. Oh dear lord.
It's still a couple hundred to sit in the rafters. Let's go 101. Just click on 101.
$883.
And this is for a Bruins game, by the way. It's not this isn't marquee matchup kind of.
That's just people don't understand what it's like when people go oh, you're not a real hockey fan, you haven't seen games. This is what we have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. But my point is, even if you're a Flames fan and you have to watch shitty hockey, you can still do okay with your tickets, surprisingly.
Unlike Leafs fans here, or I don't know about. Again, you're never gonna fly to Dallas to watch a Stars game, but
no, I mean, if I really wanted to, for real.
Yeah, maybe if we do one of those regionals and then we go after, but I don't know if you even know that's in season.
I'd be good to go again, just Stars, and Stars are again Western Conference Final 3 years in a row, right? Let's just pull up quick home game.
Last one. Let's pull this. Let's make this last one before we end it off because
for sure. Sorry,
we dragged on a bit of length for this one. So
okay, Capitals. Ovi. Who knows if it's his last year, right? Who knows?
Yeah. Last time you see him play as a Stars fan in person, let's say, because unless you're traveling to Washington and
the fact that you can get 300s for $30 is crazy. For the record,
I'm assuming that's USD, but that's still a lot cheaper in terms of when you convert it to Canadian and stuff. Yeah.
If you want to go 210, you can get it for 167 per ticket. If you want to go
crazy.
If you want to go,
us Canadian fans are getting getting.
Wait, hold on.
Shits.
Look at this. Look at this. Let me zoom out here. I just want to. go down a bit. If you want to get, I feel like I'm zooming out too far. Okay, wait, whoops, I'm not doing this right. Hold on 1 second. Home. There we go. Okay. If I want to go to section 106, right behind the penalty box, watch Ovi, $234.54 per ticket, bro.
Still cheaper than paying $800 to be in the rafters, or not 800. Oh, not 800. Sorry, $800 to be in the same
$300
section.
to be in standing room, or $400 in Calgary to watch dog shit hockey. That's the difference, ladies and gentlemen. So again, I guess if you're a Flames fan, you can still make a killing on your tickets, but man, I would not recommend. I would not recommend going on Ticketmaster and buying tickets to Flame games right now, unless you're looking to see somebody else.
I just wouldn't recommend Ticketmaster in general, but okay.
There's like no choice now, right?
I know there's no choice, but like again, it's not a bad recommendation on my part. Like it's
100%.
Like you don't have a choice, but it sucks. Unfortunately, it just fucking sucks. All right,
guys. That's our really long. I guess after the preseason podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah. We're gonna try to do one each week, one regular, one fantasy, and maybe sometimes we'll like kind of let a week go just because there's not much to talk about, right? This week I think we're gonna do our fantasy pod, just our early stock up, stocks downs, things to take note of, and again, this is gonna be a very interesting season. I'm SJ, that's Willie Dubs, and we're out here at Tone the Crease. Have a good rest of the day, and go Jays, baby.
Go Jays. See you guys later. Peace.
Later.